Welcome everyone back to the ADL. Playoffs are upon us. Best of fives are upon us, and we are in for an absolute banger series today. Death Cards taking on Foxtrot Jungle Kits. I am Ro, joined by Quacks. How are we feeling on this wonderful Monday?
We're feeling great, Rue. I know that some people might be bummed about starting their week over again. You got to go to work now. It's 5 days. You don't have a weekend to look forward to. It's not right around the corner, but hopefully we can make your Monday just a little bit better, Rue. It is Death Cards versus Foxtrot Jungle Kits, and like you said, best of fives are here. Round of 16 is here. Playoffs have finally arrived.
Yeah,
and it's no double elimination. I feel like a lot of people have been conditioned to the double elimination sort of protection safety net that you might have. The team losing here does not go to a lower bracket, does not get a second chance. They are gone. They are out, never to be seen again. So it's do or die time for all of the teams going into this 4-week venture, Rue.
Yeah, speaking of the teams, let's have a look at them playing today. Let's start off with the Death Cards. This is a group of players who play a lot together on weekends in a draft league as well called the SDC. I work there. Complete coincidence. Either way, we have in the top lane, that is Hube. We're ignoring his name, that's Hube or Hubert. We have Tip, we have Panda Boy, Humongous Frog, and Death. Filling in potentially Odelet Gun and Chill Savior. We'll get obviously information when we know the starting lineups for all of that. But they are pretty damn solid. They overall, I think they finished 3-3 in their group stage. They end up losing
3-3 series score, 8-7 game score. So, you know, kind of skirting that line to like around a 50% win rate. Really interested to see how this team operates, and I certainly feel like it's a team that could go the distance. But Rue, what I am happy about is that we finally get a starting 5. I feel like it has been at least 3 weeks since we had all 5 of those players that say they're on the starting lineup actually be on the starting lineup here for the stream. We've always had a sub over the past couple of series, but that is the main 5 we are hearing from our producer. And yeah, this is a team that I believe we've covered before, and one that we had a decent amount of questions on, Rue.
I believe, actually, I'm going to contradict you. I think this is the first time we had Death Cards. We were having looked through matchups that we were going to take for the playoffs. I believe this is one that came to mind because we hadn't done Death Cards yet. We have done our other team though that we're watching today. We have done.
You're right.
That's the one we saw. We saw them in one of their games where they went first week. They went they went down 2-0 to Flash Syndicate. You weren't there for that, but it was a bit of a battering, and they managed to turn around their season pretty well from there, ending up 4-2. And their lineup, as you can see, Rover, Phoenix Flare, Tengo, Blush, and Perfect Tempo.
And I do recognize a couple of names on this team. Most notably, I recognize Phoenix Flare, Tango, and Blush. Tango, a player that I believe I have seen through Risen, if I'm not mistaken, has been around the scene for a decent amount of time. This team, you said that they were the team that you casted, Rue, that lost. They've only lost one other series. They end their regular season 4-2 series record, a 9-6 game record. So they come in most likely, I would say, as the favorites, but certainly mortal, as you know, Rue, and as everyone else here knows due to those 2 losses. But we are right into the draft from the teams. We are just firing away. Excited to get into the games for today's series.
Absolutely. Foxtrot started off their season down 0-2 in terms of overall series scores, picking it back up 4 in a row on the trot, leading to them getting this 5th seed. They won their seeding match as well. Basically, 5 in a row. We're going to count it like that. And now we're heading straight into this draft. Urgot taken away first by DC. I have some inside information on what they're likely to go. It looks like DC play kind of what you'd expect from like an LPL team, right? Yeah. We're going to get hyper-scaling bot lane, we're going to get engaged supports, we're going to get bruiser jungle, AP mid, tanky-ish top laners. It's kind of what you'd expect. There might be some variation within that. Top lane has a lot of flexibility right now, but that's roughly what we're looking out for as they ban away the Lucian. Syndra also gone.
And this is going to be really interesting, right? Because we have, conditioned ourselves to fearless best of 3s. It is the first time we are seeing a fearless best of 5. And I feel like the teams, we're really going to start to see the preparation come through from these drafts as this best of 5 goes on, particularly if we hit that game 4 and possibly game 5. What do these guys have in their back pockets? Because as we saw from MSI, you can definitely tell the difference between a team that has done their homework in 5-game series and a team that has not had to experience, sort of grasping at straws in terms of comfort for a lot of those champions. Bans have finished up Urgot, Lucian, Neferi, Talia, Kindred, and Syndra all taken off the board. Death cards on blue side. There are a good number of B1s that they could go for. Ambessa is one that if they really want to put their eyes on Hubert, they could do something like that. You said that they had a very stock standard LPL-ish comp, Rue. So tell me, what else do you think could be in B1 here for DC?
I think it's a great Pantheon angle. I think if Tip has a Pantheon in his wheelhouse, it should be done. But apparently Gwen going to be taken instead. Didn't even notice it got through. That is one of Hube's favorite kind of off normal top lane, right? You're used to top lane being that more tanky role, but the Gwen, very strong right now, even throughout those most recent nerfs, still providing a lot of power in that top lane. Matched, though, by Foxtrot taking the Varus for their bot lane.
And I am wondering what they're actually going to pair up with that support role with the Varus, but they're going to just snag up that Pantheon. Like you mentioned, Ru, the pressure that it exerts with that Grand Starfall, the dueling in the early and late game is exquisite. So this champion is still really, really strong, going to be nerfed next patch, God bless, but for the time being, still probably the best jungler here in 25.14. And now DC going to have to respond. They could just handshake something like the Xin Zhao. They could go for, if they want more dueling, something like a Trundle as well. There are a lot of intricacies to the jungle matchup, but it seems like death cards are more in line with just looking to scale. They have things like the Gwen, a late game threat, Sivir, another late game threat. So I'm starting to think maybe death cards put a jungler that is more in line with that. Nocturne is one. If you really want to go for that, you could also go for like a Wukong who really spikes once he unlocks that Cyclone and can be your engage. I think death cards definitely are going to need someone to start the fight in the jungler, but they got someone in the support instead.
Yeah, and as we expect, coming through from Death himself, the Rel, he's going to be stacking up a lot of deaths in this series. Let's just say that. Guy plays a lot of engaged support, not so much otherwise, but we could see come game 4, game 5, if the series goes deep, does he have that kind of champ pool left in his bag, right? Because there's only so many engaged supports.
Yeah.
There comes a point where they might just all be banned because they've all been played.
Yeah, that definitely is a worry, but not a worry right now. Rel plus Sivir, a very potent combo, and I'm wondering if Foxtrot are just going to counter with something like an Alistar, say, get out of here, we don't want your engage. It is really, really good against that Rel, and also really good against the Gwen. So I am wondering, now that we have the Alistar, no mid laner has been picked for death cards. So I think Foxtrot immediately going to say, we got to get rid of that Sylas. We got to get rid of the things that can circumvent this Alistar and make sure that he can't, have kind of the Uno reverse card put onto him. Because I'm looking at Sylas, and if I'm death cards, I am licking my lips, Ru.
That's a lot of fun ultimates already. The basic 7 seconds of undying that you get from stealing Alistar. Infinite mobility you can take from Pantheon. If you give them any more, then it's just dangerous. But there we go. Foxtrot instantly shutting that one down. I wouldn't have been shocked if they took it for themselves either. Like, that is a possibility. You can let it through if you want to just take it R4. Yeah. Choosing the better of it this time. As we're going to see Twisted Fate, who is supposedly strong, but apparently also not strong.
Quite strong.
I don't know where he sits.
No, he's strong.
He's strong, but he also sucked at MSI. I don't know where it goes.
He's strong. Don't let the win rate fool you. The only champion that is weak definitively is Kalista. Never forget. Anyway, death cards going to move on. After seeing carry is Renata, can you even say that Renata is weak? That was a crazy performance. But Twisted Fate, I still think... fair, but I still think the Twisted Fate, a really good ban. I am wondering if death cards have any kind of worries about potential counter picks to this Gwen. I know one counter pick that Gwen really doesn't like dealing with, more so in that laning phase, is the Rumble. And you also, as Foxtrot, do need a little bit of magic damage. So I do think that, banning some of those tougher matchups for the Gwen could be something for them to look at. But instead, they're just fully focused around setting up mid lane. Ryze going to join that ban list. And then Foxtrot as well, taking the Zoe and Sylas off the board. So 4 mid laners immediately removed from game number 1, Real.
Yeah, and that's not even including the 2 that got banned out previously. That it is going to be the Orianna taken in R4, sorry about that. Taking away Nocturne Orianna as a possibility. Death card still looking to take jungle and mid. So you take away part of that combo. You make it less likely they want to go something like the Nocturne. Wouldn't be shocked if now comes something like the Xin Zhao in jungle. I think Tip needs to play a little bit more stable. You can have your scaling through all your lanes, but the jungle
Xin Zhao, Wukong,
what's going to bring you through this mid game?
Yeah, Xin Zhao, Wukong. Another thing you could do is the Trundle, right? I think it really makes it tough for Alistar to have a lot of use from that Unbreakable. Again, talking about those champions that can really circumvent that ultimate. I think Trundle is one. The death card's just going to throw down the Hui in response to Orianna. I like the Trundle, whoa, that's a Gwen jungle.
Okay. This was always a possibility I didn't mention it, but Tip has Gwen as his third most played. I didn't expect it to happen. My inside information lied to me. I feel slightly betrayed by that one. Gwen jungle, keeping it as open flex until the end. Cassante going to be blinding in the top lane instead. Now Foxtrot looking to counterpick. What are you even doing against Cassante these days? It feels like you just neutralized everything.
I like Rumble. I think Ambessa is really, really good. I will say, I think Ambessa is going to have a bit of a tougher time post 6, as does most champions when they go against Cassante, and he unlocks that all out. But the big goal for me when looking at Foxtrot's comp is looking at that front to back, right? I mean, Ambessa provides a lot more outside of just that early game bullying, has that ult pick tool. And I honestly think that Foxtrot in general have a lot of pick tools on top of a very strong 5v5. So I think it is up to them how they want to, sort of play out this mid to late game. But one champion that you have to look out for every single time he is picked is the Varus. It is a very hot and cold AD carry here in the ADL. Either does really, really well or really, really bad. And I do think the onus is going to be on, Foxtrot's jungle in Phoenix Flare, and also honestly Tango to be able to roam down to that bot lane, put the pressure on Sivir, put the pressure on Rel, because this is a bot lane duo for death cards that is very hard to knock down without a couple of additional hands wielding the hammer.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think Sivir, lots of mobility. Rel, great at getting people off your ADC as well. Sometimes, maybe comes at the cost of a sacrifice, but sometimes can be worth it. I think it's a really good point you bring up with how many pick-off options Foxtrot have, because they have so many abilities to make plays on the side lane to try and scale this game faster. I do worry for the overall 5v5 damage. You think of Orianna, you think the burst is great, the shockwave obviously is amazing, but beyond that, you're kind of struggling for AP. If the enemy team itemizes around it, it's going to be mostly armor coming through from this Cassante. The Rel going to exist on the front line. Can you actually get through this front line if you are lethality Varus? Are you forced into on-hit?
Yeah, I would imagine we're probably going to see an on-hit, and I'm glad that you mentioned the different damage types in this game, Rue, because looking at death cards, that is like, who on Foxtrot is going to be building Magic Resist? Realistically, right? Because you're going to have to be dealing with a Hui, you're going to be having to deal with the Gwen. These champions initially aren't very strong, but they turn a leaf and they do it fast. They're extremely well scaled into the late game, and if they are allowed to function like so, then it feels very difficult for Foxtrot to actually look for those 5v5 team fights without just getting, I feel, stat checked by champions you can't really build against on the side of Foxtrot. No one in this comp on red side really wants to go for magic resist without necessarily tanking their core build.
Yeah, I think Merc Treads may be the extent that you go to. Beyond that, it's a very dangerous prospect for anyone on Foxtrot to be itemizing towards that type of damage. Maybe a Hex Drinker, if you're lucky.
Possibly.
Either way, we'll find out when the players end up buying the items, because we are ready to go into game number 1. Death Cards v Foxtrot Jungle Kits is underway. Red side Foxtrot, blue side Death Cards, as we load onto the Rift.
Yeah, and nothing too out of the ordinary. Obviously, we have Blush going for that Arcane Comet, so just a little bit of extra poke to help out in the laning phase. Also rocking that TP as the Varus, so I think he's understanding that this Sivir is going to be chunking him out a little bit with those bouncing boomerangs, may be able to bully him out of the lane, and just having that ability to get right back to the bot lane without missing too much. Obviously, though, that does mean he's not going to have nearly as much fun doing combat as, speaking of combat.
Hello, how are you here? How has Death got all the way around without being spotted? 50 Cal Taco has to be very careful, loses half his HP, will escape without having to burn a summoner, so at least there's that. But how on earth did Death get all the way around there without being spotted? That's insane. Did he jump over the rift wall?
Yeah, I think he jumped over the wall.
That's crazy.
And then, I mean, they managed to get the damage, but not much else. You can see there's a ward on those raptors, but then Foxtrot are able to reciprocate that treatment. They get themselves a ward. Death is actually going to sweep it, so it's a little bit of extra gold into the pockets of the Death Card's bot lane. Nothing too consequential, though. Both wards actually going to be cleared out, but now I feel Foxtrot understand where the Pantheon is. They know where he started. He's on the top side. And that's all the information that they realistically need. This Gwen really wants to look at just being safe and scaling up, and then making Foxtrot's game 1 a nightmare once that 3 item comes through.
Absolutely, and getting that information is very important. They don't know where the Gwen starts on the other side of things. We get an invade coming through, level 2 from 50 cal, took his Raptors, and he's looking for it on the top side. He's hanging around the blue buff. He knows that it's already been taken, but Tip has been caught trying to run away, ghosting out of the lane. Flash for the Pantheon, goes for the Gwen, gets under the tier 2, but that is Gromp at least going the way of the Foxtrot jungler, as top lane is unable to help out Cube and Rover just trading themselves. That is the Gwen losing out on a key summoner and also losing out on their top side.
So now I'm really interested to see what Fenix Flare actually does after he takes these wolves, because he has to anticipate that, you know, Tip is probably going to try and get his money's worth, maybe look on his blue side. So I would imagine maybe we see just a reset come through from the Pantheon.
He's going
actually
behind?
Crossing over.
You're a psycho.
He took a lot of damage from that tower shot. I don't know if that's... He's trying to do a Canyon into Peanut all those years ago, but this is just risky, in my opinion.
Oriana's here to help it out, though. And the Gwen went straight down to Quags as well. Tip didn't fancy going for the fight instantly, and it will be 50 cal taking the Raptors as well. So that is a Gromp, Wolves, and Raptors invade, and completely out scot-free. Just cost the flash, but it was traded by the Ghost. A great early play for this Pantheon. How does this Gwen get back into farming anything now?
Hang on.
No matter on Castante, Rover, lots of energy himself, will be fine. More than happy to take a fight like that.
Rover chunking out the Cassante, making use of that pre-6 before he gets that all out. It's really, really difficult for him to actually look for duels. You can see Fenix Flare goes for the Wolves, doesn't go for anything else, isn't actually going to contest on that crab. So finally Tip be getting a little bit of breathing room here in this game, but this is a very, very good strategy coming out from the Pantheon to set this Gwen behind. We said it needed some time, some space, and it has gotten neither of those things so far 4 minutes in.
Absolutely, but Raptors are respawning, and 50 cal, he's had so many camps to clear, he hasn't actually had the time to clear them all. He goes up to Krugs, and I think Tip even wants to...
He's going to dash over that wall.
On these Krugs, maybe just getting the vision. Looks like he's only got Sweeper, so he's not even doing that. He's just sitting around. The Raptors have respawned, but he's so scared of this Pantheon. Level 3 v level 4, your Gwen cannot fight this right now. Has to take an early base, gets a Dark Seal and Ampto. Not what you really want on that first base on Gwen either. You want to really get some damage behind you. 20 AP plus a Dark Seal is not really what you're looking for.
I am wondering when Fenix Flare is actually going to go for a reset here. He's kind of been on that playing catch-up mode where he just wants to make sure that he's not only taking all the camps, but also securing his own, denying Tip away from making a play onto his own jungle. So he will finally be able to go for that reset. Tip is on the top side of the map, so has no real threat of stealing anything away. No real threat of doing much, if I'm being honest with you. There isn't an angle in mid, there isn't an angle in top, and so this Gwen, you know, wants to be left alone to its own devices, but has literally nothing to do.
And he just had a quick look at the Raptors, sees the bad news for himself. No Raptors available for you today. Have to go down, find your own. You will be able to get the second rotation of yours, but there's still so many camps that this Pantheon has been able to get ahead. Just, it looks like 4 camps already is the lead. Gwen still has a couple more to farm on this bot side, but didn't even go for the double scuttle either. Could have got greedy, could have gone for that, but no, left over to Taco as he takes the dragon side scuttle now at the 5 minutes 30 mark. Bit of a late first scuttle, but they can transition it straight into the dragon after this pause. A little like Rover DC'd.
Yep, so got a little bit of a pause here. Game number 1, it's Foxtrot. You can see on that dragon, I would imagine probably going to be able to get it. Tango as well managed to TP back to lane, so should be able to clear out that wave and possibly garner some prio for the team. If there is a fight, Oriana should be able to move to it, but this is just some really insane Pantheon jungle gameplay from Fenix Flare so far. This man is not giving this Gwen any time to breathe, Ru.
Yeah, and it's really about knowing when you're strong as well, right? This is an area of the game that a lot of people struggle with when they start playing League. You don't know when your champion is strong compared to the other. Your opposite number really does matter in these types of situations. And as Pantheon, he's worked it out. He's cracked the code. He knows exactly when this Gwen is going to be at his weakest. And his early game, it makes a lot of sense. You see how much Gwen scales and how much she does in later team fights. It makes sense that she's weak early. Getting it done early, getting her far behind is exactly what he needed to do. And now that he has that lead, the question remains, what can he do with it?
That is definitely the question. Realistically, I don't think you have to do too much. I think the big thing for this Pantheon now is to just work on not over-forcing, right? Look for plays when they're available, but don't go out of your way to, screw your whole team over, screw your own tempo over, because I feel like a ton of junglers get sort of lost in the sauce, for lack of a better term, of just making the enemy jungler's life miserable.
I don't think there is a better term. There is no better term. Yeah, it's the perfect term.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad.
Do not worry, this is the normal after pause delay. Spec delay is just catching up with the delay that we are meant to be experiencing. Do not panic. We do get a little chance to, though, have a quick look at what's happening. Rover are actually down a good bit of CS, good bit of XP as well, as that could be the all-out coming through. It is.
Oh, no.
U3 W Pathmaker pulls him back through the wall on the all-out, but Rover will still escape. Dragon was taken in the bot side. Hextech Drake was the first one of the game. Infernal spawning next. So we're going to get less damage on our soul than you typically see. As Rover now has ult advantage, he's going to make most use of it. Goes full out publicly, executing onto Cube. He has no mana. The grasp is perfect to get him even lower, but he doesn't quite have the damage. Cassante lives as Cassante breathes, and Humongo Frog on the bot side takes an arrow to the face.
That is going to be Hubert getting out. Rover likely just having those cooldowns probably wasn't able to make the difference in time. As Tango
Shockwave in mid, Panda down to 100 HP, couple more autos from Tango, and the flash away. That did not get anywhere near enough range. If you're going to flash, you have to flash over the Raptor wall there, surely, to at least break vision, because the Orianna is so close to you. The auto range doesn't really come into effect there. Still flashing inside of auto range, and that's a really awkward death there for the Hui.
It absolutely is, and now Tango should be able to shove this wave, get a reset, get back onto the map with item advantage, as well as flash advantage, because like you said, Root, Panda Boy burned that summoner, won't have it up for these grubs, and Foxtrot are already preparing for that. In about 40 seconds, you can already tell perfect tempo is on the roam. Pantheon as well has that Grand Starfall. The tools are here for Foxtrot, and this is exactly the kind of timer you want to see them fight for. Blush, it's on the other side of the map. Doesn't have teleport, so no real opportunity to join up. But it doesn't look like Humongo Frog is going to be roaming. So it'll, at the best, be a 4v4. And Foxtrot, honestly, with their level 6s intact, I would say are definitely favored in this one.
Absolutely. The 4v4 is amazing. The only thing you might want is that level 6 on the Alistair. It's a little bit early for your support to have that, though, so not surprising, just stuck at level 5 for now. But once that Alistair gets his Unbreakable Will, it tips that fight even further in your direction. But they are there. 8 minutes 10, and they're taking the grubs. No one here to compete. The Ambessa keeping the Cassante pushed up in the lane. They know they have the presence of everyone taking those grubs. They are very safe to do exactly that. Mid lane, just kind of existing, just kind of chilling. It does give the opportunity for Death Cards to go for a cross map. They are invading on that bot side, but at the cost of the grubs, I'm not necessarily sure that it's enough compensation.
But they find nothing. Absolute zilch on the other side of the map. But now they might be looking for a dive. You could see that Blush is alone on that side of the map. Perfect tempo is going to try and save him. There's also a Grand Starfall. Let's see if Pantheon can maybe respond, but I won't have to. The wave isn't big enough. There's no dive angle for death cards here. They get a Grump and nothing else.
A Grump for grubs. They both start with GR. Is it worth it?
No.
Okay. If you say so, then I guess I believe you. Grump and Grubs, they sound similar. I thought they'd be worth about the same, but apparently not. Grubs going to be taking the advantage in that one. Foxtrot really prioritizing these early objectives, and they're getting them basically for free. They're not costing anything. They managed to get an early gold lead with those early objectives. They have that first blood in their favor as well, courtesy of their mid lane. It's a great early game for them.
It absolutely is, and it'll continue to be so, as I also feel like the items definitely reflect just a stronger duel potential here for Foxtrot. You've got the Dirk in tow for Blush, so he is actually going for that lethality Varus. I'm curious to see how that shakes out as the game goes on, but you've also got the Caulfields for Phoenix Flare. These are just really strong, you know, middle of the road components for your items, and they have allowed them to be so much stronger in the fights. And it's just caused Death Cards not necessarily to die, but to just back off, concede a lot of the map, and Foxtrot are just sort of running away with all of these neutrals. There's a Dragon coming up in about 40 seconds. And really, there's no vision, there's no presence, there's not anything for Death Cards to play around for that part of the map.
Careful, caught by the public execution, does not have flash on the Cassante, but he does have R to bring you through the wall. All out, Rover getting caught, getting out of dodge, doesn't have flash for a couple more seconds, but the Cassante will escape the gank. I thought there was a chance that it was going to work better, but they just stood a little bit too close to the wall, caught out, but maybe it was all a play to go for mid instead, as they go 1v3 onto the poor Hui. Panda Boy had absolutely no chance of escaping.
Still doesn't have that flash, and perfect tempo is now level 6. The turret dive is there and available. Those towers are just not scary for Alistar anymore. You cannot walk that far up. And that goes now for the Death Cards bot lane. They can't walk up to contest this. Dragon started up by Pantheon. The rest of Foxtrot materializing around this part of the map.
And that's another thing I think is really important to point out, is how fast Foxtrot are getting onto these objectives, right? They have had like zero breathing time at all given over to DC. First Drake was taken like 6 minutes in, not even. Second Drake going to be taken pre-12. We could be looking at like a 23-minute soul this game if DC are not careful. And that's just not enough time to scale things like the Gwen, like the Quay, like the Sivir. We pointed out during draft, DC are happy for this game to go long. They want to scale their team, but they don't have the time right now because Foxtrot are already threatening a very early soul that is so difficult to compete with.
It absolutely is, and it doesn't help that every time Tip looks for a cross-map play, looks to maybe get some camps into the enemy jungle, he finds nothing. I feel like it has been Phoenix Flare so smart, so airtight with his camps, and just his timing, his tempo has been so on point that it has not given Tip any angle to exploit. There's been no crack in the armor that he can look to drive his scissors through. Hey man, rock beats scissors, and this is a rock solid gameplay here from the Foxtrot jungler, as Death is going to go in, but is going to go right back out.
Has to be a little bit careful. You don't want to walk too close to the rel, especially now that Death has hit level 6. Flash and Magnet Storm, still a very potent combo, but Humongous Frog quite low on mana. It does cost a lot of mana to really clear through these waves quickly on Sivir, so he's going to conserve for this one at least. Gets up to level 9, has now enough to pop the ulti if it's required. That is going to be the base channel. That is now Vision, I believe, known by Death. Should have backed on that. I think he backed on the sweeper as the shockwave goes back into mid. Panda Boy, incredible. The flash used by Tengo. Flash over the wall is perfect. And he gets another QW. Nice side step there of Tip by the spear coming through from Taco as his R3, the needlework, not going to be doing anything. He just has to escape as the Pantheon searches for him in the shadows through the fog. He cannot find him though, and he will instead just find some camps for the taking. And it's the opposite of what we were saying before. When Tip has been going aggressive on the cross map, he's had absolutely nothing to go and find, but this time Taco makes the play happen around that top river, and now he has an extra reward for his play.
He doesn't find the Raptors. Instead, he's the one that gets found. Phoenix Flare looking for the 1v1. Doesn't have needlework though, has to be very careful.
He didn't get that smite either. The blue buff went over to Taco. They are converging on the Pantheon, but he has a perfectly timed disengage cone to get himself out. W onto the Scuttle Crab. Going to be Hugh popping the ghost to try and track down this Pantheon, but he has empowered E as well. He is going to be very safe indeed. And that is now not even numbers advantage, it's equal numbers because the supports have turned up, and it's Hugh. Beautiful. Beautiful. That is the only word that can describe that buffer. But Tip, on the other hand, definitely not beautiful as the flash W and the taunt as well from Taco afterwards, dancing on his grave as Death will escape. That was all 5 members of Foxtrot using their TPs to get up there. Was Blush as well. They have that extra mobility afforded by the Varus. They lose out a little bit on bot wave, but it's definitely worth it when you're able to push this Gwen even further into the ground.
Yeah, Humana Frog will have a little bit of opportunity for some solo gold. Likely will be able to take this turret, get the first one of the game. Has to be careful though. Tango is looping around potentially. Has that on the hunt into the flash, so I'm not really worried about his own safety. Still though, Foxtrot willing to go hard in the paint for aggression. They find Tip in his own jungle. They take him down, and now they're going to transition that into a Herald. A lot of, credit, though, over to Hubert this game. This Cassante has been very good at just avoiding death time and time again, using that buffer on the top side and just not really giving death cards the ability to lose him as a relevant member as Tango.
Little bit out of control. He thought that he was fine to go clear himself away, but perhaps not, or perhaps still so, as the shockwave is beautifully denied by Humana Frog. He survives on a slither. The spell shield is clutch to keep him alive. He survives in that play. I thought it was guaranteed that Tango is at least going to get one in exchange, but they do make it work, and it is going to be Humana Frog getting an extra kill in his pocket, getting a bunch of extra gold. Now, BF Sword and Boots with his first item of Yuntals going towards, I'm assuming, Infinity Edge second. He has now a good amount of damage in his kit. He needs just a little bit more time to scale. The issue is he going to get that time? We are up against 2 Drakes already. The 3rd Drake spawning towards the soul for Foxtrot, and it's a mountain soul at that. And look who is caught out. Just as I was praising him, Humana Frog gets caught by the chains of corruption. He barely escapes with his life as Death sends in 1v3. The Magnet Storm is not going to do anything when you have no friends around you. Panda Boy cannot help you out there. Death all alone. Miscommunication surely will fall to the empowered auto. The E, the trample of perfect tempo, will pick up the support in the supportal combat. I'd just like to understand why we would... You just did amazing play in bot lane. You reset, you push as a team to go to Drake, but no, you're caught off as individuals.
Feel like Foxtrot more than happy, even though it's not the target that they necessarily were aiming for. Just happy to get a kill. And they do get the kill onto the support, and they are able to transition into a Drake. So now it's soul point at 17 minutes. Foxtrot controlling the neutral space beautifully in this game. And Tango as well going to be able to break down this tier 1 bot lane turret on top of it. So it is just constant pressure being applied by Foxtrot, and better yet, no cross-map play still available for Tip. He wants those Raptors so bad.
They were available, but he couldn't go for them because Blush was moving off the mid-wave, forcing the defense out, and now Death is going in again, living up to his name. Only got one of them so far, but he's looking to get a couple more. Humana Frog is caught on the mid-wave. Insane! Just at the end of the public execution, a millimeter further away, and he would not have been caught as Hubert is trying to send it 1v4, pulls the Pantheon through the wall. They might get a kill back eventually. Could be looking for the second kill of the game here as Tango actually will fall to the Quay on the other side of the map, but still sniped away by the Varus. Pantheon will fall as well. 2 for 2 so far in this play as Perfect Tempo is the only one remaining on the front line. He will fall as well to the Cassante. Death going to send over the wall. There's no damage left on either side. No health left for Foxtrot though, as they will end up losing in this play.
And it is the all-out from Hubert that makes the difference. The Pantheon becomes a massive target, and they finally get to execute him through the Merc Treads, through the Sundered Sky. It doesn't matter. He goes down, and Death Cards win their first fight of the game.
It's a massive fight at that. It stabilizes them like from where they were. If they lose that type of a fight, the game can honestly spiral so quickly, especially around that fight. Being right next to the mid-tier 1, you lose your mid-turret, you lose so much access to your side of the map. You then transition that across to the top turret, which is also insanely low. You cannot afford to lose a fight like that. The fact that they're able to pick it up is absolutely huge. Now they need to stop all these objectives from piling up on top of them. 1 minute Atakan, 3 minutes from a Mountain Soul. If you let Foxtrot get this Mountain Soul for free, you are in insane levels of danger. You have to find a way to stop it, and it has to come through with plays like that from Hubert.
Absolutely. Hubert has been the big difference maker, survived so efficiently in the laning phase, and now with that all-out, just gives Death Cards a target that they can focus down and, sort of snowball the game, snowball the fight through numbers from there. But still, that does not remove the big, gigantic issue of Dragon Soul being there for Foxtrot. All of this is great. The gold lead shrinking is amazing, but you still need to be able to fight for that bot side neutral. and make plays that will assist you in entering that river without getting hard chunked, because we've seen how difficult it is for Panda Boy, for Humanifrog to do that as Blush.
That is Blush caught out on the mid wave. The Magnet Storm is perfect from Death, and they get the shutdown as well onto the Sivir. The money going exactly where they want. They don't want money on their Cassante. Well, that's great. It doesn't help out as much as it does going onto Humongafrog. They do unfortunately lose out on the bot side. Rift Herald was used in that play. Another objective that was claimed by Foxtrot. We didn't quite catch that. I don't know when it happened, but they got it, and now they used it. They get themselves a bot tier 2 turret. They get value, but it comes at a cost because they have so many members down to that bot side. They're able to get punished on mid wave.
They forsake the mid wave. They forsake that mid turret, so that will go down, give Death Cards a little bit more breathing room, and will finally allow Tip to steal away those Raptors, or maybe not actually. Nope, still no Raptors for you, as Fenix player is just keeping on top of. Yeah, he's keeping on top of taking those. He's only 20 CS down now. Not bad considering where he started in this game. But the big carry for Death Cards definitely has to be Hubert. This Cassante, so instrumental to just giving the rest of Death Cards the ability to focus down one target, put all of their damage onto a singular member of Foxtrot, and snowball from there. If he goes down, or if he enters the fight in a difficult state, it's going to be, I think, difficult for Death Cards to realistically look for a successful play.
Yoink. Another one stolen by Taco. Every time it feels like there's a 50-50, he is just winning out in this jungle matchup so far. Whether it's mental or whether it's otherwise, he just has something to be said. Like, it's just an advantage somewhere. But maybe not an advantage is the rest of his team. We're looking at these items right now, and you look at Sivir against Varus. 2 items versus components, looking for the Edge of Night, not quite there yet, is Blush. Mid lane, while it's been, honestly, like, not a fun time at all for Panda Boy, he's still there in terms of completed items. He is down a needlessly large rod, so it's not a great time overall, but he's still there. He's still going to put out damage, and we saw him in the previous fight get the kill on Tango. His Tip is taking incredibly low. The shockwave, not even you.
Oh, got him!
Yet, and the Chains of Corruption will indeed connect. The Storm Surge and all the burst damage combining onto the Gwen to force them out just as the Soul starts. There is now no smite to fight for a very, very important soul. You're going to have to give over Mountain Soul. That is the worst case scenario for DC.
It is. They're going to try and look for something, but Foxtrot are here to respond. But Rover, no!
Rover will fall early. Tengo, the double TP actually going to come through. He gets the insta-kill with the shockwave onto the Rel. They cannot force this any further unless Blush gets a little bit lower. He does use that TP to get in, as I said, but will also just go lower. I don't know where he got that shield from. Sure, what, he got a shield from somewhere. Maybe from the Oriana Ball. That would make a lot of sense. Mountain Soul also would make a lot of sense, as they have claimed it. Only a 1,000 gold lead. But that doesn't really tell the whole story, right? They haven't got so many objectives has Foxtrot, including now that Mountain Soul. Issue could be when you have this soul, if you can't win Elder Fight. But it's happening so fast that you have so much power that it might not even matter.
I think now the big thing for Foxtrot getting that Mountain Soul is going to be just looking to use it, right? There's an Otacon up. You should be looking to force the issue onto Death Cards, look for that top side objective, and just steamroll from there. The big, sort of red herring to that is you don't have those tier 1s taken, right? Despite all of the control that Foxtrot have managed to muster over the course of the last 23 and a half minutes here in game number 1, they haven't really been able to transition that into actually taking these tier 1s, and that is where Death Cards might be ahead. They've got the mid turret, they've got the bot turret, and when you are looking for a topside objective, it's really important that you have those towers taken down so that you can extend that vision line. So it could be an angle for Death Cards to maybe exploit. At the very least, they got to hold on to these parts of the map. Make sure that Foxtrot can get them.
He does not realize where Taco has gotten to, and that is an insta-kill on the top side. Just you're saying it, neither side really has the vision, and with your Oriana walking up to wave, he thought he was safe to walk up, but that is unfortunately a 5th death of Panda Boy, and the top tier 1 will fall with him. The Atakan short to follow, and while there's 4 members up here for Foxtrot, maybe you can make a cross map elsewhere. Maybe you can push this mid tier 2, but it's going to be Rover left alone to try and hold on. Let's see what DC look to do. Do they just try and clear the turret, or do they try and go for the Ambassador 2? Looks like they're just happy to take a mid turret, get some perma pressure on the rest of that, but it's not going to be perma push because they haven't pushed it far enough. And that's actually an aggressive play coming in from Rover in the 1v3. He's going to send it even deeper, but it's blocked entirely by Humongous Frog. A very aggressive play, maybe too aggressive, as now Tip is onto Blush in the backline, caught out by the chain corruption, will have to dash away himself. No blight stack is going to be propped on his face today, but that is the top laner falling, and now Taco is left alone 1v2. It is against the runner Cassandra. They have very little damage from seeing them, but eventually they will get through this Pantheon given enough time. The stun comes through from the power maker, Q3 to flip him back. Oh my god, he's gone halfway across the universe. He is up out of there. Perfect tempo holds on with an unbreakable will of his own, but Tengo is caught in the middle of absolutely nowhere, grasping more from underneath from the quake, and another shutdown goes to this Cassante. There is only a Baron available, but there's a Baron available. There's a spark for Death Cards.
I mean, Death Cards, they're going to take this opportunity and they are going to run like hell with it. And dare I say, a misplayed fight there from Foxtrot. They look for the pick, but they are so scatterbrained, they are so split that they're not able to do anything. Rover's gonna be here. He's gonna try and make a difference. Can he do it?
He wants the smoke right now. He's just trying to delay this as long as possible, but if he falls again, it could be absolutely detrimental, and he will do exactly that, though the bot side is maybe more important because Hubert has been caught in a 1v2, trampled by the Alistair. The Chains of Corruption will land, and one final auto will see his falling. That is top lane for top lane traded out, but most importantly, the Baron had to be peeled off by Death Cards because of that sacrifice played by Rover.
Death Cards don't get the Baron. They do get a return kill, though. We're seeing just how difficult it is for Foxtrot to actually take down this Cassante. We mentioned how rough it would be if you go lethality Varus against some of these tankier members like Death on the Rel, like Hubert on the Cassante, and it's so damn difficult.
Blush didn't even have Jaxos for that death. No, he's just gone and got Jaxos from his base. He is now like so difficult to kill. If he's anywhere near your front line, you're forced to look at him because of the amount of CC he can put out. You're forced to look at him because of the amount of damage he can do to your backline if you're not careful. Maybe without him in the fight, it's possible. Death is slightly caught out, uses Magnet Storm to try and escape. He will have that up for the Elder spawning in a minute and a half. But as I was saying, how do you deal with this Cassante?
It's definitely rough, right? You've got no armor shred on anybody. For Foxtrot, the best you have is that Black Cleaver from Phoenix Flare, and I feel like that's just not. I mean, you've
but it's not enough.
No, it's definitely not enough. Double Black Cleaver on the top side of Foxtrot is not going to do the trick. You need a Cyrilda's Grudge or something on Blush. He needs to be building toward that item to be able to help deal with this Cassante. Because now time has run out. We have a minute left until Elder. Foxtrot not even up in gold at this point. Death Cards actually slightly edging them out through everything. They are the ones that currently hold a bigger bag of money. That is a scary prospect. All the pressure that you put on the bot side, but Death Cards, especially in these last 5 to 7 minutes, have been able to bite back, and now you're basically looking at this fight unsure of if you actually win or not.
It's a bit of a flip, honestly. Tip gonna go clear out some topside vision. Not as important right now. What's much more important is vision around this Elder spawning in 20 seconds. Whoever wins this is not necessarily going to win the game, but they're going to be in a great position to. This is almost the curse that you get when you get a 4 Drake Soul almost too early, right? We saw the objective control was absolutely amazing earlier on, but now it's really going to get put to the test around this key objective. Can they hold on to their position? They've got themselves in a nice position. They have Mountain Soul. They have a little bit extra buff from that. They are down a tiny bit in gold, but what really matters is the items on the wall. That is an LDR coming through for the Sivir, and in comparison, it's a man immune for the Varus. Not enough to get through this Cassante right now. Literally no arm shred apart from those cleavers that we pointed out before. If Hubert is on the front line, he is going to be insanely difficult to displace, insanely difficult to get past as well. The only people who can really do it are the Ambessa. No one else really has that ability to just go deep without some forethought, as Death is just going to send it 1-3 with the Magnet Storm. The Chains of Corruption land, and that's a very deep move. Death will fall to start this fight off, but
big shot!
There's also massive tip will go down, and that is Hubert as well, caught out. They go deep. They actually gets one in return. I don't know how he does that. Cassante is Cassante-ing, and it's just the carries left alive for Death Cards. He will flash over the wall with Humongous from. He will go down. He doesn't even get the kill. The flash W from Taco is enough to pick it up, and now it is just Panda Boy left alone. No mana on the Quay. He can look for a steal, but it is going to be a Hail Mary at best. He goes WE to try and get some mana back, but it comes over the wall, does Taco, and that's the final nail in the coffin. Elder going over to Foxtrot. They play the fight perfectly.
And Foxtrot taking advantage of Death's engage. The Rel, I feel maybe 1 second a little too early on that Flash Magnet Storm. Team is not quite there to follow up, and Tango is able to find a beautiful shockwave angle. And that just seals the deal with the fight. Hubert tries his best, but he is not going to be enough at the end of the day. And so it is Foxtrot claiming the Elder for themselves. They have the soul. Baron is on the board, is ready and ripe for the taking. And it's just Foxtrot. They are right there, ready to take it. They are immediately blitzing to that top side.
When was the last time you saw an Elder taken before first Baron?
Been a minute.
It's been a while, at least from my experience, but here we are. It is going to be a free Baron going over. Nothing that DC can do to contest for this. You cannot fight while Elder is available. They have another minute and a half. It will fall when that timer in the top left says 3 minutes 30. So we have another 90 seconds of pain that Foxtrot can inflict upon Death Cards should a fight break out. They now have double buffs available for that minute and a half as well. DC looking to get some push on the bot side, but on the off chance that it was only one person sticking around to go for that Baron, they'd all based early, they cannot even extend for that bot tier 2, and they're going to have to give up much more on this top side. We saw before that Elder fight, the gold lead was negligible if it even existed. Now it has ballooned to 6,000, which is going to go even further. Mid tier 2 falls, top tier 2 short to follow, and it's now a 7k advantage for Foxtrot. They have Elder for another 50 seconds. They have to look to push even further though.
There's a wave crossing around that halfway point in the mid lane. And Foxtrot's wave's definitely desynced at this point. The best they have is that empowered cannon minion to, you know, chip down the HP of this turret. And they also have some elixirs, so they will actually manage to break open the base. The inhib will be the next option. Here's
wow, they found something. As well onto Hubert. He is caught, rooted by the Chains of Corruption, will still escape for now. They don't want to send it that deep, but they do at least get the mid inhib, and top is as well falling down. Rover on the split push will push them further into the base. 5 seconds left on Elder. There is no massive end angle, but the shockwave may say differently. Panda Boy is eviscerated by the Elder plus a shockwave combination, and now it's a 4v5 that his teammates will have to survive in. They get the damage as well onto Tip. Hubert on the front line trying his best, but Tip is getting caught in the back line. Level 15 Gwen is all he has to say for himself. Death sends it deep. He will fall. One Nexus turret down. Hubert is doing his absolute best. The needlework through from Tip is not doing enough damage right now. This Gwen just doesn't exist hard enough. Hubert is going to go, and now it's all onto the Sivir, who surely cannot go 1v5. He will fall. It is a clean 5-0 ace as Foxtrot clean up game 1.
Such a beautiful game from Phoenix Flare and Tango, the mid jungle of Foxtrot jungle kits, playing this game to perfection. The shockwaves so instrumental to getting that Orianna ahead and just winning out in a lot of those close fights. We were getting a little bit worried, Rue. The game was starting to tread toward even, but it is the Orianna that manages to make the difference at the right place at the right time. And Foxtrot take game number 1.
Do indeed. And I wonder if we're going to get this now as a kind of theme for the series. Objective control. That's what dictated this whole of game 1, right? Foxtrot were on top of every single objective. I can't name an objective they didn't get. They got 4 Drakes to 0. They got the Elder Drake. They got Grubs. They got Rift Herald. They got Atakan. They got Baron. They literally did not lose a single thing in that neutral river. How now can Death Cards counteract that? Is there a way?
Yeah, that's the big question. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like it started from the early game, right? I mean, Fenix Flare on the Pantheon didn't have, I would say, the most auspicious of mid to late games, but his early game was amazing, right? Putting this Gwen so far behind. We were starting to get to that late game when you would expect the Gwen to come online, be really strong, and, you know, potentially turn a game that had hit that kind of a timer mark. But no, he was out of the game from minute number 1, had all of his jungle taken, had his ghost burned super duper early. I mean, hell, the man crossed between mid-tier 1 and mid-tier 2 to keep this Gwen from farming her own jungle. So even though we didn't see the Pantheon's, I would say, efficiency in the mid to late game, we did see him set behind the biggest late game threat that Death Cards drafted for. And that, to me, combined with the playmaking from Tango, was enough to just give this team a really, really solid game 1 win. And for Death Cards, I'm really interested to see how they adapt this draft. I feel like the Gwen was definitely a good curveball, but one that struggled a lot, obviously. So maybe you give a more evergreen jungler over to Tip, one that is harder to counter, and one that most importantly can respond to the early game presence that Fenix Flare was able to put on in this first match.
Well, we'll see if they do make those adjustments after the short little break. We'll be back with game number 2 draft after this.
To live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Oh, 15 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
Welcome back, everyone, to game number 2. DC and Fox are your teams, though I believe they have swapped sides, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Death cards are going to be on your red side for game number 2.
Yep, so there we go. Thank you so much, Ice, our producer. Death cards, red side, Fox, blue side. Game number 1 going the way of Foxtrot. Pretty convincing, but obviously a couple of hiccups around that mid to late game, allowing Death cards to potentially go for a comeback. And I feel like the herald of that possible comeback was definitely Hubert on the Cassante. So game number 2, Rue, I'm really looking to see what he can pull up here for the second match. Obviously, the Cassante is banned away because of Fearless, but there are still a number of champions that he could push on to the Rift of the second game that could maybe try to net his team an advantage, potentially something a little bit more active in the laning phase if he wants to go for something like that.
Yeah, I do wonder what kind of choices there are, because nothing that quite works like Cassante, right? His escapability, if you're close to a wall, is literally unmatched by anyone, especially in the top lane. You can't just like Talony. You're not running a Talon top in this type of situation. Like, what around you? What is even available? Like, it feels weird to be asking that after map 1, but without Cassante, there's nothing that quite works the same way. You're gonna have to see at least a change up in his style of play. I'm thinking Sion, I'm thinking Ornn, I'm thinking that type of top lane, but I think we're going to be waiting a while in this draft before we see a top lane. I expect to see a lot more happening on the rest of the Rift first, as we do get our first couple of bans coming through. Kindred, Nico, gone. Urgot has been taken away as well. That is DC basically going to be banning that in every game this series. That is a perma ban against Rover. He has 101 games on Urgot. His next highest is Ambessa on 6.
Yeah, so certainly an Urgot one trick. And I do want to kind of, push forward what you said earlier, Rue, about Death cards probably saving what Hubert is going to be doing for later on in the draft, because they're on red side now, right? They can look for something on 3 for top lane. They can look for something on 5 for top lane. Really, it is up to them. I wouldn't hate them saving a top lane counter pick here for 5th. So I do think we'll see the rest of the map likely carved out before that top laner can kind of be the metaphorical cherry on top. But if I'm talking about what I want to see from Foxtrot first, is they ban away their final champion here in the first phase, that being the RE joining along the Nico and the Kindred. I feel like we're probably going to want to see something good for mid, right? We talked a lot about how Tango was super instrumental, and I feel like this mid jungle for Foxtrot really was the leading charge in their game 1 victory. So potentially something for B1 jungle. Maybe if we see like a B180 carry, I wouldn't be too surprised, but I feel like with how active Fenix Flare and Tango were on the map, you want to try and replicate that proactivity with similar champions right off the bat.
Absolutely agree with that. And there's also something you've said for Death cards. They lost game 1, right? So they get to choose which side. They chose to be on red side. Do you expect them to have something up their sleeves that they want to hold on to? Maybe like that Gwen Flex that we saw in game number 1. But we'll have to see what is chosen as that. It's going to be the Syndra coming through.
Yep, there it is.
So Tango, he may be stuck in the year 2023, but he is still very good from the year 2023.
I mean, absolutely. Syndra has the pick potential, has the scaling. This is the kind of champion that we wanted to see Tango pilot in game number 1, and it's something that he'll be able to pilot in game number 2. Death cards are just going to immediately slam the Akali. I don't know if I agree about them just throwing this out there early on in the draft, because there are a lot of other supporting pieces that Foxtrot could potentially draft on up that make this Akali's life very difficult. But it is also worth noting Akali is a flex, so maybe we see something along the lines of like the Gwen sort of switcheroo gotcha that we saw in game number 1, where we anticipated it to be top lane and it ended up being jungle. Joining Death cards along with that Akali will be the Jhin. And I'm going to be honest with you, Rue, I hate Jhin blind. Sure, you banned the Lucian, but there are a lot of other aggressive AD carries that Foxtrot could go for that really Jhin just struggles into. Any kind of champion early on that can be up in your face and deal damage in those first few minutes, Jhin struggles immensely toward. He is best against the scalers, and he's best as a counter pick, so I'm not really sure how blinding him is going to benefit Death cards.
Oh, I think it may come back to bite them pretty quickly because that is an instant Braum thrown out by Foxtrot. And when you see Braum, your mind instantly goes to things like Ashe. Things not necessarily like
That
Jinx, but it's going to be
works.
chosen. An aggressive ADC, maybe not. Honestly, I think if you're looking for aggression, I think the Ashe is more so up that street. But your scaling is now very clear if you're Foxtrot. You're playing through
Yeah.
mid and bot. You're playing. If you end up winning early, that's amazing, right? But if the game goes later, you still have those insurance policies. Issue, though, is can you keep your insurance policies alive against things like the Akali, like the Jhin, like the Jarvan that has also been chosen from death cards? They are ready to just send it, like full send.
Yeah, they're really looking to try and, put something onto this Jinx, literally and metaphorically, put her in a box in game number 2. And I'm wondering what's going to be accompanying this Jarvan, because Jarvan works really well when he has other AoE ultimates to bounce off of. And so far, Death Cards' damage is very singular and linear. There's not a ton of AoE from Jhin and Akali that I think Jarvan can really work off of. The best you have is a Deadly Flourish to be able to link up with that Flag and Drag and get some chain CC down.
Yeah, if they end up in the Cataclysm, then you can send your Akali in, go nuts, R2 through, delete everyone in the Thunderdome, maybe, if you get lucky.
Maybe.
I do really like that ban that they've chosen. Getting rid of the Poppy, that is something that would be very annoying to deal with. You have so many dashes. Delaying your engage is just deathly. You have to have perfect timing. You have to snap a bit better than maybe we saw in game number 1. We had some snap engages, but they weren't snap team engages. They were snap singular person engages into a lot of people. That Death is looking to clean up for this one. Poppy, a very solid ban to make sure your timings as a team are more cohesive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Foxtrot are probably just going to be throwing down those top lane bans as well. Maybe another thing that I could see is like a support ban, another engage champion, such as... I don't know. Nautilus isn't very good with the Jarvan. Just any kind of engage that does AoE, right? Leona, that's a good shout as well. It also functions very well with the Jhin. If they wanted to get a little bit more funky, they could ban something like the Bard. If they're anticipating maybe like a Tempered Fate plus a Cataclysm, that is another, I think, really underrated combo. A bit more difficult to execute, but still strong nonetheless. So the Riven ban is still there for Foxtrot. Their next ban, I would imagine, is actually going to be the Bard, so they were afraid of that combo. Foxtrot now, I'm looking at probably a jungle on 4 here, maybe something like a Viego. You've got a decent amount of mobility, and you do want to get those resets across. You do have a lot of single target damage to be able to make that happen, so... I like Viego here, just anything that can help with that pick potential and get those resets for Jinx and maybe add on to the pressure of those resets, such as the Heartbreaker ultimates.
Yeah, though before that happens, we do of course have to look at DC. They get to choose on R4, and we're likely to see a support here. Nothing really great countering Braum. He just kind of exists.
No, he's pretty evergreen.
Thing. And here is the Rakan that's going to come through. That is another bit of AoE CC that will be used.
Viego's so good here.
Yeah, this is a great Viego angle, though. Let me just do some checking. Is it played? Like, that's something you always have to watch out for. Phoenix Flare doesn't have it in his top 10. It doesn't mean he doesn't play it at all, but he's going to go for a different viewpoint entirely. Isolation, make sure they can't do a single thing, lock them down with the Skarner. Opinions?
I like this. I think the Skarner is also a really good answer into the Jarvan, because you could follow up with the Flag and Drag, with the Cataclysm. You can get through the Cataclysm and slam a Death Cards member into their own wall. So that interaction is really nice to have. I also just think it's good at peeling for the Jinx, right? I was thinking maybe we would have another threat added onto this Foxtrot comp, but it seems like Foxtrot are more than comfortable to say, we have our Jinx, we have our Syndra, we just need peel and the ability to buy them space and time. And I think an Impale and just the Skarner kit in general will allow them to do that.
They are invested in this mid and bot duo. On the final choice, 3 tanks with engage surrounding a Jinx and a Syndra. What could possibly go wrong? And what could possibly be done now by Death Cards to really get through? Because that is a lot of things getting in the way of your dive. You have a very clear setup in mind, right? You're looking to go beyond.
Maybe like Mordekaiser? Like, I think Mordekaiser could be good. Honestly, yeah, because you also don't have a ton of magic damage. Akali being your only source of magic damage in the face of 3 tanks, like you said, Rue, that does not feel good. Yeah, there isn't a ton of damage at all. So Death Cards are in a really precarious situation here where they don't have a ton of damage. They don't have a ton. Aatrox is okay. Okay, there we go. Rumble, okay. This is a champion I didn't want to see picked because this is a self-counter pick right here. Ornn is one of the best answers into Rumble. So this just points to the situation that Death Cards have found themselves in, right? They need more damage. They need magic damage. They need something to pair up with that Jarvan Cataclysm. And the response is basically self-counter picking yourself in the lane. This is going to give Rover a really fun time, which is not something you want to say for Ornn, a champion whose weakest phase in the game is technically that early game because he can be exploited the most and he can be killed off the easiest. It's a rough draft here from Death Cards. The lack of damage, the lack of, I feel, synergy, and overall just kind of finding themselves in bad positions laning phase-wise, I think isn't really setting themselves up for success to that mid to late game where we really want to see this comp shine. And for Foxtrot, this is a well-oiled machine. This is play for your Jinx, play for your Syndra, play around getting those ornaments onto them as soon as possible. Don't fight unnecessarily, and win the game through 5v5s. It's as simple as that, really.
Yeah, I feel like everything that DC are doing is based around getting the Cataclysm to actually go off.
Yeah.
And everything that Foxtrot are doing is, please not the Cataclysm.
I mean, and this is one of those games where I think Death Cards are just praying that Foxtrot are miraculously huddled around as 5. Jarvan can get like a 3+ man Cataclysm. What happens if you get a 1-man Cataclysm? Right? Then I feel like
maybe it's fine.
If it's Jinx, maybe it's fine. But I feel like if Foxtrot are 5v5ing and they play the fights correctly, you should never be getting onto Blush. This guy should always be protected and have 1 man at least sitting with him while he's firing those rockets out. So it's a tough world for Death Cards. I feel like especially it's going to be a very difficult mid to late game for, this Akali. I think Panda Boy is not going to have fun trying to get to this backline. He's going to keep trying, and he's going to keep finding out that this Jinx is just too well protected.
Another thing to think about beyond this game as well, Panda Boy has now had his two most played mid laners taken off the board. He has most played as Syndra. 271 games at a 59% win rate. He's amazing at Syndra. It's now gone. Game 1, he played Quay. It's now gone. Other things that he plays are junglers. He's got some Jarvan, Gwen, and Skada. They're also now gone. His top 5 most played are completely gone from this series. He's going to be delving around like the depths of his champ pool come game 3, and that's pretty early in the series.
That's pretty early. Yeah, that's not a great sign when you're potentially staring down 5 games here for Death Cards, at least 4 if they turn around and win this series. Speaking of the series, speaking of game 2, we have game 2 ready and waiting. So let's transition onto the Rift for the second match between Foxtrot Jungle Kits and Death Cards here in the ADL round of 16, Ro.
Oh yeah, that is sending shivers down my spine. I love that. As we get into the game, we get to see what everyone has chosen to go rune-wise, summoner-wise. Nothing that you wouldn't expect. Some barriers in bot lane, some heals from supports, a little bit of unsealed spellbook coming through from Death, but not matched by perfect tempo. He chooses to go the Resolve. Skarner going Grasp, I'm less convinced by. I feel like Skarner Grasp is one of those things that you kind of get baited into because you think you're going to be fighting a lot, and then you end up just not fighting as much as you want to.
Yeah. And I think looking at these comps for game number 1, Tip is going to have a very, very polarizing switch up in terms of playstyle. Game number 1 on the Gwen, farm up, right? Be that champion that can be a late game threat and stay in your jungle, farming those camps for as long as humanly possible. Game number 2, be as proactive on the map as humanly possible. This Jarvan needs to have early game presence for Death Cards to have a chance to transition that early game strength into a late game behemoth that they want to become in the 5v5s.
Yeah, And the issue really for Death Cards as well is that they don't have a singular person that you can say is a behemoth, right? You look across the rift from you, and there are two champions that have insane scaling, insane damage, and honestly terrifying to teamfight into. The Jinx and the Syndra, once they get going, really do hurt, really can strike fear into the hearts of your opponents. The same, not necessarily able to be said of DC. You have damage with that Rumble, but it's not, you know, guaranteed to work out in lane. I think that's shown as well by what Hubert has chosen to go. First up, Doran's Shield on Rumble.
Yeah, that's definitely not a good sign. And I feel like you're kind of going back to the late game power of this Foxtrot comp. In order to obtain that power, they don't really have to do much, right? Realistically, all they have to do is sit back and scale. They don't have to be proactive. The responsibility of making Foxtrot slip up early has to be on Death Cards' proactivity. And again, that's where we go back to Tip. That's where we go back to Death himself. We have to make sure that they're the ones pulling the trigger, finding those angles, and really putting the pressure onto Foxtrot. Because if they do nothing, they just get outscaled, right? Syndra's going to be getting those splinters. Jinx is going to be getting those items. Ornn is going to be getting those ornaments. These things are just going to come to them, and it's up to you to stop that timer, or at the very least, delay it if you're DC.
To delay it as long as possible, as we do see some opposite side jungling. Going to start this one out as Rover forced to run away from the Rumble. No mana rather left on that Ornn, so he will have to take a base pretty shortly. Both top laners though not happy on HP either, so it looks like Hubert as well trying to find a base if he can. But with opposite side jungling comes the possibility of opposite side ganking. Taco is on the bot side. Tip just cleared through, level 4 acquired on this Jarvan, and can he find a Rover a little bit too far out of lane? There is no vision down here apart from that one in the bush. It has been swept. He will have his E to escape though. Just gonna trade himself out to safety. Scuttlecrab's gonna be traded across each side at a very tame start.
Yeah, good searing charge to get away. Rover spotting Tip out, right place, right time. Tip has his crab on the top side, maybe looking for something in mid.
Oh, found something in mid. Tengo, though, another amazing scatter of the week. We've panned out to mid a couple of times. Every time it looks like Panda Boy is trying to find something. He has been shoved away by this Syndra at every opportunity, bar none. It just keeps happening. And if it keeps happening, the Akali is going to have a really tough time. And sometimes the issue with a comp like this, you have a lot of team CC, you have a lot of things that can punish if
hang on, look at top side
together. As Jarvan is once again headed up to top side. Thank you for pointing out. Rover walking up, no mana at all. He used the flash to get in the way. It didn't get the knock up though. Rover will counter flash. Hubert gonna flash as well. They will get the kill, but this is only a 1-4. Surely no Tip survives that? I was convinced that turret shot would finish him off. They do get first blood on the top side. I am shocked that they had enough damage, and I'm shocked that Tip didn't fall.
I mean, it's both flashes, though, for Death Cards at the end of the day. Traded for the one, and Rover is actually going to go to the bot side with that teleport. Foxtrot are saying, let's just switch. We're 5 minutes in, and we know we have the opportunity to just straight up give this Jinx more resources in the 2v1. And Death Cards are actually going to respond with a swap of their own, though it will be delayed. I think Blush will have the opportunity to shove in this wave and potentially deny some creeps from Humongous Frog.
Very delayed indeed. Humongous Frog gonna run his way back to the lane. The first couple of minions will just fall. He has Deadly Flourish to try and snipe them at long range, but it should be a plate as well going over to Foxtrot. This switch working out very effectively for their bot lane. The door also going to deny an extra minion of CS just because Perfect Tempo can. Lovely play from him, and they have the Skarner on the top side too. They could look for something here, as it is just going to be Taco showing his presence, sweeping out a Jhin trap as Hubert transitions down to this bot side. Both of them a little bit late to move down, but the Rumble still has TP advantage, as they're going to be looking again. Taco, though, going to find a control ward and going to think better of it, just throw a rock in his face instead.
Yeah, they have to abandon this play. They have to abandon this play. They're coming up river. Yup.
Jarvan and Akali sneaking through. That's Panda Boy ticking over to 6 as well. They make the first play. They get onto Humongous Frog, but they don't realize what a mistake they made. They find the first kill. That is a reset on the Jinx, but Taco will fall as well. Perfect execution is amazing from Panda Boy as he looks to put even more damage onto Blush, who pops the barrier to keep himself alive. Concussive blows are huge, and the full shot flashed on by Humongous Frog will claim a second for the player. 2 for 1. Turns it round very nicely. You only lose your support. A great play for Death Cards.
At Death Cards, capitalizing off of the overstay from Foxtrot on that top side. They were looking for a dive. They couldn't find it, but they stuck around for whatever reason. It's just too long. Panboy and Tip, reinforcements arrive, and they make the difference. And most importantly, it's kills on to the carries that you want for Death Cards. 1 for Panda Boy, 1
another
for
kill coming as well. It's 1 across the board, 1 for everyone, but the Hex Flash from Rakan will not quite catch the Ornn out. I thought Rover was in a little bit of danger there, but just able to escape with his E. He has a Spectre's Cowl into Boots matchup. This is some of the weirdest first bits of itemization I think I've ever seen.
It definitely is. And we can see Foxtrot now focusing on the bot side. A bit of a messy game state right now for Foxtrot. They have their bot lane on the bot side, but they also have Rover on the bot side. This basically means that Humongous is going to be able to push this wave in essentially uncontested on the Jhin. Tango is going to try and run interference, but there's also just Tip in the area, so they have to be very, very careful about walking up against this Jarvan, who now has Cataclysm, by the way, so that extra lockdown secured. Blush, though, still does have Flash. That prime target of the Jinx has the ability to safely get away if the engage is misplayed by Death Cards.
And that's something we didn't necessarily touch on earlier, right? When you're playing around just a Cataclysm, you have to make sure that the Jinx has no flash, because that is your only win con in these later team fights. We get another engagement going on the top side. That is Panda Boy with ult available, looking to kill the Skarner, executing perfectly. The Rakan going to steal one as well with the Grand Entrance. A beautiful knock-up. Going to delay everything else that's happening. Perfect tempo will be another one to fall. Panda Boy will be chasing it. He might be able to get an execute off, but no, he will be caught by the flag and drag, and that is another kill going over to Akali. Now 3-0-2 for Panda Boy. It is the perfect start for this Akali.
It absolutely is. The gold is going exactly where the Death Cards want it, and Foxtrot, it feels like all of that gold is coming off of their misplays, their overextensions, both on the top side in that earlier fight, and now at the blue buff. It was the Skarner, it was Phoenix Flare that really wanted to try and look for an aggressive play, but he didn't have the damage, he didn't have the resources, his team didn't have the resources, and they get punished. And now Panda Boy comes out of base with a cruelty here, or rather a Storm Surge. Cruelty is the active. And that just means it is death marked on, it is a death mark onto Blush, who still has flash, but at this point, it feels difficult. You flash 1 dash from Akali, she's got 2 more.
Yeah, though no flash for Panda Boy to go chasing too far. It will be Death Cards picking up their first objective of the series. Void Grubs will be theirs. It's only taken them a game and 9.5 minutes to get themselves on that objective board, but they will be getting there as another trade goes in mid lane. I believe the Skarner is looking around this pit. They have to be careful not to give up a single one if they don't have to, and it will be coming down to a smite fight. Tip will steal it with the Q smite from the Jarvan. He didn't even smite it. Oh, it's Taco's smite. He just queued.
Wait, no. The reason it's said because Death Cards got the 2, which they got the objective. Stupid. And then it is a little bit confusing. Fox managed to get 1. And that 1, honestly, I think is going to be pretty instrumental, pretty impactful, particularly for Blush on this Jinx. You can see he's just pushing on this bot side, trying to collect as many turret plates as humanly possible. The plan still remains
as well, right?
Yeah, the plan still, though, I feel for Fox remains the same. Play around Jinx, play around Syndra. This is a very forgiving comp in the sense that you can knock it down several times, but if you aren't constantly locked in and focused on who you're targeting, this Jinx is going to get excited, and there you go.
Have to be very careful because there can be a Skarner around every corner. Impale gonna drag you out of your turret safety. A nice little use of the equalizer, but it does not do what it says on the tin. Doesn't get the wave either. Will fall in the 1v2. Just too tanky on this top side to deal with just some boots to his name. Now has a Haunting Guise. Could have really used that in the previous fight, but was not there to be utilized, and now has lost out heavily, losing plates, lost his life, losing waves as well. Worst case scenario effectively coming through there for the Rumble as he just falters through nothing he really do. He walked up an inch too far.
Tango, what are you doing? Tango, what are you doing?
Why are we here? Nice flash over the wall. Will escape as there is going to be the TP coming in from the Ornn. Rover, they know who's TPing, right? You know that's an Ornn. Can you kill the Ornn? Do you really have all that damage? I wasn't convinced. The Glacial Fissure as well says, I don't think you have it. But that will be Rover's TP used for very little effect. Instantly has to take a base. Quickness was used from to make that happen. If you do get second Drake spawning in about 40 seconds, no Ornn TP to make it down there. No Rumble TP either, as he TP'd up to the top side to claim those plates that he just lost.
But it's also important, no Syndra Flash, which means that they can't really, you know, participate in this fight. And I think also means that Death Cards more than likely should be able to gain and keep control of this bot side river and secure that dragon for themselves. At the end of the day, it's a lot of wasted resources on the side of Foxtrot, but, you know, nobody dies. And I feel like based on how this game is treading, that is definitely going to be a win in their book. Here we go.
Not again. He's not even got Impale back just yet. It's a couple of seconds off cooldown, but he'll get it up just as the Rumble is about to die anyway. One more auto will do it. He smites a minion instead of the Rumble. The Mega Death Rocket just goes wide. Taco has a rock. Flash rock, not enough to get through the scrap shield. The Impale will just about connect. They will get the kill eventually. It took them a little bit longer than maybe they expected, but they do end up getting the kill on the Rumble. It's traded out for a Drake in the bot side, but a kill on Rumble as well as a turret with plates falling to your Ornn is definitely some compensation for losing that Drake. The question though, is it worth it? That's a lot of gold going over to your Ornn in exchange for a Drake that gives you a little bit of something to play around as a team as we head towards a Mountain Soul once again. It gives you some breathing room away from the Drake stacking your Fox. Like, I don't know.
I mean, honestly, I feel like this is a win for the side of Foxtrot, because you look at their comp, or rather you look at Death Card's comp, who on their team is good at killing tanks, right? You've got a Jhin with his reload, you've got an Assassin, and you've got Jarvan who's going to fall off. Rumble is your tank killing machine, and he's the guy that's behind in this game. You've got a Skarner, you've got an Ornn ahead. How are you ever getting through that front line as Death Cards?
I think their plan is honestly just not. Like, as crazy as it sounds, it feels like their main ideology with this comp is to just ignore whatever's happening on the front line and try and see beyond it, try and get beyond that front line. You have Akali, you have Jhin. Late game, maybe a 3-4 item of crit Jhin with LDR can do some of that chunking for you, but it's not the same type of consistent damage that we'd expect from a normal ADC. And you're completely right to point out the Rumble is that tank killer. He is now put behind after that double gank, as Tengo has to be careful himself. Caught out by the quickness. It's going to be another massive bunch of knockups on his face. There's 4 people bot to try and get this kill, but the resolve of Braum is enough to keep him alive for just long enough. They will trade out with that turret shot taking the kill, and now look who has made it down to the bot side. The Jinx is here and looking for resets. The concussive blows from Braum will stack up. The flash over the wall will get Blush. Another kill, 2 for him this game so far as he looks to take it deeper. It will be another use of the heal and a barrier actually from Humongous Frog, keeping him alive that time. Not quite enough to get a second reset onto Blush, but one definitely enough to strike fear into the hearts of DC. As they look for even further, Rover on the top side is just bullying onto the Rumble, but there's a Skarner trying to dive between the turrets. They cannot surely expect to get a kill onto this Jhin Rakan right now.
They're not going to end up getting anything, but at the end of the day, they still get a massive advantage. Blush getting himself another kill. Foxtrot winning out on the bot side. Tango survives for just long enough to get a return kill as well, so that Syndra also getting some gold. It's now Foxtrot's time to get their gold onto the correct members. That bot turret going to fall as well. The Herald is up, and now they know exactly where they need to go.
Oh, he got caught in the shroud. I don't know how Taco has hit that, but now the Impale is guaranteed. The Flash will not let you escape from the Ornhorn as Panda Boy is deleted by the power unleashed from Tengo. Scatters the weak as well. Tip caught by the stun. There's no more hard CC to really use for Foxtrot, but they still have things like Skarnet to look for individual targets. Tip's
Big equalizer.
They go on to Tengo. The equalizer is perfect, but it doesn't get enough damage just yet. The curtains are called. They're trying to protect everyone, but Tempo is front tanking. They will get onto Taco in the backline. He does not go any further. They will also get the nice shot onto the Syndra. This is turning around. DC, they're having the numbers. The 4-shot is not enough, but Blush will shortly follow. Concussive blows land. Blush will finally fall. Tempo now trying to run for his life. Tip does not have the damage to get this kill. It will be a 3-for-1, I believe, overall, but the 1 has already respawned. Panda Boy out on the map, already cleaning up that bot wave.
Yeah, mids are going to belong to Death Cards. And again, it's Hubert on the Rumble. A beautiful equalizer plus a Cataclysm combo. And all of Foxtrot just melt before they can do anything. Those resets are going to come through. There's Dragon in about 40 seconds. You look at those ults on the left-hand side of your screen. Most of the Foxtrot ults should be up by the time this Dragon has put itself onto the Rift. The question is, will they fight it, or will they just look for a cross-map play with that Herald spawning on the top side?
I mean, the issue is you have ultimate, sure, but you don't have summoners. And what really matters is having those summoners, because DC's comp is all around connecting with a Cataclysm and making sure that you take as much damage while you're stuck in the Thunderdome as possible. You have Panda Boy flying through, executing anyone who stands in his way. You have the equalizer coming through from Hubert's Rumble if you're not careful, but he has to be careful of a Skarnet with E flying through the walls. That is a very far forward Rumble. Nice flash to get over the Jinx trap. Will be caught by the Impale. And now the Ornhorn comes through. Double knockup. They finally get onto Hubert. Now there is no equalizer. He did not have it up just yet anyway. And it's going to be Tip running away. They will fight for the Drake. They will take the Drake as well. They find the fight early. They make sure that they get there on time. And now DC are caught in a really awkward position. They're going to send it anyway. The Cataclysm does find its way onto Tengo, but there's no one to really follow up at all. You're hoping Huracan has enough CC to help the job, and somehow the curtain call completely goes wide from Humunga Frog, and unfortunately they just don't have the damage without the Rumble.
That was just a really sloppy re-engage there from Death Cards. They didn't have the damage. They didn't have the numbers. That interaction with the Cataclysm plus the Ishtal's impact that I talked about in Draft Rue came true there, slams him into his own wall, and gives Blush the opportunity to reset, get those 2 kills. The Dragon is secured on top of the Herald. And that last one did not need to happen. It was Death Card's over-aggression that netted Foxtrot 2 objectives.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give over 1, right? You can't be looking to re-aggress on that Drake, but your Rumble has TP. You can play for the Rift Herald, or you can just look for a fight if you want to, delay them for taking the Dragon for as long as possible, hold on to your ultimates, let the Rumble get back, and then go for the fight. But they went too early. They don't have the damage without that top laner doing everything he can and a little bit extra. Because right now, you're staring down the barrel of a 2k gold deficit. Not the end of the world in isolation, but the issue are the comps that you're up against. You're up against Rover on Ornn. He's about to tick over to level 13. That's extra 1,000 gold for himself. Instantly going to be acquired. Every level after that, another 1,000 gold for a different teammate, should he give over those items. That's instantly going to increase that gold lead before you even consider things like the objectives and like the map control that you've just lost as well by losing that Herald.
Yeah, and now the question kind of becomes, what is Foxtrot going to do with this Herald? We've got a couple of seconds until Otacon spawns. You could try and use that bot side and potentially draw some attention from Death Cards, but they're just going to rip it mid. They're going to break open that tier 1 that has stood for, I think, way too long based off of what Foxtrot want to do in this game. So them knocking it down is going to be very important. For the most part, the game will resume as continued. Panda Boy, though.
What is he doing? Why are you TPing and it's a knock-up? Panda Boy, you gotta learn your interactions, buddy. That's a knock-up. You cannot TP away for a Rift Herald. You can't.
He's still gonna get away. He's still gonna get away. Oh my god.
He will. Oh, Oh, that got way too close. That was a Jinx rocket from out of nowhere. It doesn't quite land the kill, but that is a mechanical
Look at topside.
a mental misplay. That is Atakan trying to be taken by DC. They're making the cross map happen while the Rift Herald got drifted down to the bot lane. There is no jungler up here to contest. Rover is not a spellbook on. They can claim this easily, and if he steps up too far, they can even look for an extra kill. The Deadly Flourish will connect, but they're not going to go deeper since he did get that Searing Charge off. They will lose a bot tier 2 for this, but they get an objective at least for their troubles.
Yep, so they are going to make the cross map play. Still, though, Death Cards getting that Otacon. Pretty big deal for them. They get 2 turrets in response for Otacon, so not the worst trade in the world, but still gives Death Cards some form of breathing room, gives them some levels. Particularly, I think it's going to be really, really big onto Humunga Frog, as now he out-levels Blush. This Jhin has been really big in this game, has yet to die, actually, Rue. So I feel like if Death Cards can still play around their AD carry, they can make stuff happen. But the big thing is, despite having that LDR, Jhin just isn't a champion that wants to get through the front line, right? And he doesn't have immediate access to the back line like Panda Boy. He literally has to chip through a rock in order to get to those actual damage dealers onto Foxtrot. And he's the one you want to play around.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we've been saying this whole time, right? Is that while he can build these items that in theory do what they say, it doesn't necessarily matter when you're having to flash away from a Skarner roll on mid-wave because you walk the wrong way round out of the Raptor pit. Like, it's small mechanical misplays. We've seen a mental lapse almost from Panda Boy with that previous one, trying to TP away from a Rift Herald charge. It gives a knock-up, it gives CC. They're going to try and send it instead on this play around the blue, on the blue ward. Panda Boy trying to do his best, but that is instantly calmed down. Jarvan to follow. Panda Boy hiding in the shroud, not going to be hiding anymore. He is going to be connected onto Taco, will take the kill, a 3-for-0. I'm confused. I'm perplexed.
It's just a desperation play from Foxtrot here, or rather Death Cards here. They know they can't conventionally wrestle control of this river. They have to look for a place, so Death goes in. But he's the only one in the area, and Blush manages to get the reset. Also has the flash, so Akali isn't able to trade those kills. And because of that, it's 3 members down for Death Cards. You end up in a worse place than where you were before, and third Dragon almost certainly going to go the way of Foxtrot.
All points spawning just as we speak. It is again Mountain for these two sides to contest. Foxtrot, they got the first Mountain soul of today in 4. This time looking to be in 5. It's going to take them a little bit long, but they don't mind going longer. This time they have a Jinx, they have Syndra. They can take as long as they damn well please. As long as they don't let anyone a little bit too close to this pit. That was a very aggressive thing. The blast code was interesting from Ben.
Look at the back line. Look at Tango.
They are onto Tengo, but it's really not worth it. You don't have the damage, you don't have the survivability to stand next to these Jinx rockets flying at your face. Taco is finding his way into death as well, and it's going to be Humunga Frog trying to keep his perfect score alive, but I don't think it will be perfect much longer, as the Jinx W will finish off from downtown, and Death is the last one alive. Will just about survive, so no ace on the cards, but it may as well be an ace. They're going to take mid tier 3. They can push bot tier 3 as well. Only 1 out turret remaining in top lane, but they don't care about that right now, do Foxtrot. They want to finish this one off early.
And they absolutely do. And with the Get Excited, Blush is just going to be able to knock down that bot lane base turret. And it's going to be an inhibitor to boot. So double inhib here for Foxtrot. Soul point now acquired for them as well. So the clock, the timer is ticking for the Death Cards. They're going to need a royal flush in order to come back from this game. The cards certainly are not in their favor, though, as the scaling continues to tread in the direction of Foxtrot.
Yeah, if we're going poker analogies, they need to hit a runner to make this game work. Like, it is going to take something absolutely miraculous to pull off a comeback on this scale. Just looking at the champions that you're facing, while also being 9,000 gold in the mud. It's not a fun time at all. You don't have the champions on your side to get through their front line, And when you're behind, it's so difficult to ignore the other team's front line, right? When you're ahead, you can kind of ignore sometimes what's happening around you. As long as you can get onto the carries, you'll be fine. But in a game like this, it just doesn't work the same way. The Ornn demands attention, the Skarner steals attention, and the Braum is the perfect peel option as well to keep this Jinx alive. Foxtrot right now have so many survival options. They don't even need to force things like this Baron. They got the TP out from Hugh, but that is more than enough.
Absolutely. So they're going to get peeled off the Baron, but only because they want to look for a pick on the tip.
That's a bit deep, and it will send
beautiful scat of the week.
Actually, found its way onto Tango. They did get the scat of the week indeed. There will be tip falling, and they don't trade the Syndra out in return. The curtain call does no damage whatsoever right now as Panda Boy looks to escape instead of go kill with the perfect execution. The flash E from Robert is beautiful, and Taco finishes off the Jhin as well. Akali, the final survivor, as it is Panda Boy against the world, down 11k gold as a team, but much more than that as an individual against 5. He has to hold this game, otherwise it is series point already for Foxtrot after 2.
And Foxtrot demolish game number 2. The team fighting, the scaling, the game plan that we talked about in draft. They could not have drawn it up better. And 27-minute game, almost exactly. Foxtrot, take us to series point, Rue.
It did not take much at all. They were there from the start, and they never gave up they just didn't give them anything. They let them have a single Drake, a couple of grubs.
Yeah.
And that's a Khan, but they traded it for a bot tier 2 and a mid tier 2. It's just every time something happens, they make it positive. Even if it sounds like a negative play, they just make it work in their favor. And they're looking like a very formidable opponent. Let's not forget, this is a team that really struggled to start this season off. We saw them at their lowest point. We saw them when they were getting blown apart by Flash Syndicate, and not a fun matchup in week number 1, by the way. Yeah. But then after that, fighting against Team G Warriors, going down 2-1 against the eventual group winners. It looked like a rough start, but then they brought it back. It's 4 in a row. And now if this was a best of 3, this is already over. Make that 5 in a row effectively. Yeah. They are on an absolute hot streak, and now they want to take the momentum even further.
Absolutely. This is a team that started extremely low, but has been rising with every single week since those first 2. And they only need one more game to find themselves into the quarterfinals, Rue. And for the side of Death Cards, you know, you were dealt a really bad hand, I think, in game number 3. It's time to switch up decks potentially for this third and potentially final match between these two teams. But while we wait for them to shuffle, I'm really going crazy with the card puns here, to be honest with you. We are going to take a small little break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone, to game number 3. Foxtrot find themselves up 2-0. Can they clear us out? Can we be out of here early, or are we going to be here for the long haul? With me to work that out is Quacks. After these first 2 games, how are we feeling about DC's chances?
Not really good, if I'm being completely honest with you, Rue. You were talking in game 2 about how, who was it? I believe you said it was Panda Boy's champion pool has quite literally been erased off of the map. Syndra gone. Right, all of his top 5 have been completely removed. So, and I feel like Tango has been the biggest, breadwinner of this entire series so far. Had a banger game number 1, had a banger game number 2 on the Syndra, has been performing really admirably, particularly around Phoenix Flare, his jungler. And I feel like that mid-jungle synergy has really been the key to success here for Foxtrot. Even in game number 2, where a lot of our eyes were on Blush with the Jinx, it felt like the only reason Jinx got all those resources were because of Phoenix Flare, were because of Tango and their ability to assist the rest of the map as a duo.
I think that's a very succinct summation of what's been going on. It has been a lot of Foxtrot working things through their bot, through their mid, and just letting them do what they want to do, letting them free and making sure that they're safe while being free, right? It's like one of those things. Sometimes if someone's playing a little bit too free, maybe they're getting caught, but it's difficult to really pinpoint a single time where they've actually been caught out, where it hasn't just been a positive play overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And there hasn't been a lot of recorded cases, I feel like, in this series where even when Foxtrot do show some anti-synergy, when they aren't necessarily on the same page, when they do mess up, they make plays, they make picks, they get right back onto the map to, sort of work overtime to cover up that mistake, right? They get right back onto the map and they make a play that ends in their favor. And I feel like for game number 3, it's going to be up to Death Cards to throw in a Hail Mary, right? Pull out all of the stops. To me, I feel like the thing that they have really been lacking in this series is that objective control, right? So get those wards down in the river, get those wards down near the grubs, do something around the neutrals and make sure that Foxtrot cannot enter, because every single time, even when Foxtrot are behind necessarily, Rue, or when they're at least even, they've always been around to tread around these objectives and slowly skirt their way in toward those dragons.
Yeah, and I think that really has just been the whole narrative of this series, right? Foxtrot have been dominant on the objective. It's 9 Drakes to 1, not counting the Elder that's fallen. If you want to count Elder, it's 10. Barons, it wasn't even taken in the previous game because the game lasted 27 minutes, but it was 1-0 so far. It is very strong performance from Foxtrot, especially around the key ones that you want to put emphasis on. They didn't have as much emphasis on Atacard in game number 2, but it didn't really matter because they got so much as a result, right? When you're taking a mid-tier 2 and a bot tier 2, it's more than 1,000 gold for your team. Sometimes it's just worth it to give over the objective on the other side if you get that much given over, not to mention the actual map control that gives you as a team. As we do get our bans in for game number 3, Kindred, Nico, and Zoe taken away by Foxtrot, as Nocturne, Lucian, and Urgot are banned away by Death Cards. B1 this game. We have ADCs that are possible, but I think it should be a jungle. You think mid? Okay.
We've been seeing Tango blind a lot of these champions to a lot of success. Syndra was the first pickup in game number 1, and he performed beautifully against the Akali. Now it is going to be the Taliyah, one of the strongest mid laners on the current patch, one of the most sought after mid laners at MSI. And still, as the league's tier 1 regions are starting to start up again, it seems like Taliyah has kept up in priority. Death Cards now really interested to see what they counter with. Usually the big answer to Taliyah is like an Azir. You can use that. It's kind of a skill matchup. Used to tread more toward Taliyah's way, but now I feel like because of the range that Azir provides, you can maybe circumvent that. Other options are things like the Victor, but you still do need a strong mid-jungle pairing to try and fight against Foxtrot. That is what I want to see at the end of the day, Rue.
Yeah, and it's difficult to really nail one in particular. It's going to be the Ahri, which I can't say I
Xin Zhao?
really like. I like Ari with Xin Zhao. I do like that, but I think in isolation, the Ari and Talia can really struggle, right? Your mobility is capped by having Unraveled Earth at your feet. If you take a dash with your ultimate, you just get stunned and you just lose half your health. It's never a fun time. Once 6 is reached for you, pre-6, it's fine as long as you don't get caught by too many shoves. But I'm looking at the champ pool, honestly, and it was Ari or nothing, and it's going to be the Viego actually coming through for Death Cards. Tip, his most played jungler in this year so far, 53 games, a very solid win rate. But going back to that previous point, Panda Boy, when his Zoe is banned, his Talia, so we established his top 5 are gone. Talia was his 6th. Zoe was his 7th, that was banned. Ari is his 8th. Beyond that, it's Camille and Vi. We are like...
Yeah, we're really getting down there.
We're in the mud.
I think Foxtrot are probably... I mean, I wouldn't hate a Xin Zhao paired up with the Talia here. I think after that, or at least just some bruiser jungler, right, to be able to respond to the Viego. I think Poppy is an okay answer, also a flexible answer, can go into that support role. I imagine we'll probably see Foxtrot 3... go an 80 carry on 3. Some options that kind of come to mind, I don't know. Varus is one of the best blinds, but he's taken away. I think Jinx was also a really, really good one. Jhin as well. So I'm trying to think what we could see here, Ru.
It looks like Misfortune is going to be the choice for Foxtrot. Their comp doesn't necessarily work in conventional ways. You expect Misfortune has a bit more setup, but we'll maybe get to see that coming through afterwards. So for now, it's going to be fine. We just need a little bit more cohesion in B4 and B5, but I think there's a little bit more holes in this draft.
Maybe like a Corki
can play into.
Or is Leona? Okay, I was going to say, I think Leona is a great pairing with the Misfortune. So not only do I think this is a good pick for Death Cards to be able to lock down a lot of these squishier targets on Foxtrot for things like the Viego Heartbreaker resets, as well as things like the Ari Charm to hit and kind of get that CC train running. It's also just a good denial combo from the bot lane of Foxtrot, right? Leona plus MF, very deadly. They're not going to have access to that anymore. The big question kind of becomes, what are we going to go for in this next phase of drafts? I was imagining that Death Cards are probably going to be targeting a lot of those support bands, but they should be targeting those support bands. But part of me feels like they're just going to be throwing out a lot of top lane bands for some reason, Ru.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a theme this series. Urgot as well, the main top prior ban. Didn't actually get any extras in our first phase this time round, as it will be a little bit more focus from DC towards that support role. It makes a lot of sense. Misfortune really does need that setup. And I'm looking around the support pool left over. There is no Rel. That's the main one that you instantly think of. Misfortune, get the Rel, lock them together, massive damage over the top. It's amazing. There's no Alistair, no Braum, no Ricard, now no Leona. Nautilus was a great engage option, and then we're starting to kind of run out of typical engage choices. Misfortune needs that type of champ.
I feel like another option they could maybe go for if Death Cards don't ban it is the Bard. I know we talked about it in game number 2, but having that Tempered Fate and then you immediately basically freeze frame the game and set up Misfortune for the perfect angle with that bullet time, that is another kind of possibility, I think, for the side of Foxtrot. And it also doesn't deal horribly with the Leona. I feel like it's a bit of a difficult matchup for the Bard, but it can still work. And especially with Talia having that double roam potential, clearing out those waves in mid and allowing the Bard and the Talia to kind of meander around the map could be a really efficient combo for getting Tango ahead in this game like he has been in games 1 and 2.
Yeah, they need to find something. Mid lane might just do its own thing, right? I'll be honest. It feels like Tango's just been good enough to do that so far. But a little bit of help definitely doesn't hurt. And into Ari Viego, you're probably going to need some help along the way. But it feels like Foxtrot are really trying to deny any form of dashes so far. With things like the Rocks, the Poppy. 3 dashing champs so far chosen by DC. Into Talia B1 is a little bit awkward too.
You could do like Zeri, I think, mostly reliant on movement speed. Okay, Ziggs. Okay. I don't hate this because I think that if this Misfortune is really, really, really bad with her angles on the ultimate, then you could just satchel charge and cancel it. But this is a very vegan bot lane. I feel like you want this Leona to be aggressive, and Ziggs is kind of the opposite. So you don't have, I feel, a ton of synergy with a Ziggs Leona bot lane, but it does also kind of open up the doorway for you to really go for those grubs because Ziggs does do really well into sieging.
I'm just trying to look at anything. I was looking through support pool. Maokai is going to be taken by Foxtrot. It makes sense when you want AOACC. And now they have the double flex rule as well. They have the double flex between the Poppy and the Maokai, sending them to jungle or support as well, depending on whichever they feel is more important. I don't mind actually seeing the Poppy go support here and going a little more on the jungle Maokai. But now you point out Renekton. I think it's a solid choice, but even more fun apparently is Sion. Something I expected actually coming through from Hubert in this series, but it's going to be taken away from him. And now, what do we have in our locker? Let's have a look at champ pools. He has Riven, but bad way. I don't know. Aatrox again?
I feel like, Aatrox might be your best bet here. I think that is a good one. Also fits with the themes of resets that Viego will have for the Heartbreaker and the Ahri. Okay, so there's the Aatrox. So basically, Death Cards are looking for 1 kill, get the Spirit Rush reset, get the World Ender reset, and get the Heartbreaker reset, and just go from there. Foxtrot, on the other hand, I feel like have a much cleaner 5v5, right? You've got a lot of pick tools with things like the Poppy and the Maokai, and you have the damage to follow up from it with things like the Taliyah and the Misfortune. I will say, though, that damage is contingent that they have a good early game. I think Death Cards definitely need to be looking at this Taliyah, looking at this Misfortune. If you cut one of them off from the game and make them really struggle in those late game team fights, I don't think the damage is going to be enough from the side of Foxtrot to be able to take down members like this Aatrox and this Leona, who will almost certainly be up in your face the entire game.
Lots of ways for Death Cards to try and play this one. You could look to just neutralize and go to the late game. I think you're fine if you do. You have to be careful of things like Taliyah just coming online at 5 items. It will do a lot of damage if you let it get that far. You don't have much to tank anything on the other side of the rift. But at the same time, if you get those early opportunities, Viego thrives when he's strong early, and he thrives even more if the game goes late and the other team has some great scalers as well. Yeah. So lots of options for Death Cards, a little bit more open than maybe some of the other drafts have been, where they've been penholed into a couple of key strategies that they haven't been able to execute on. This time, they have more options, but they're not necessarily easier options.
Yeah, and I will say, I think another struggle for Foxtrot in game number 3 is just going to be looking beyond 1 kill, right? Because you have a lot of lockdown, but Misfortune isn't really the champion that you think of when you're picturing, okay, let's snowball, right? Like we get 1 kill and we can transition it into 2 and then 3. It's definitely not what we saw in game number 2, where Jinx was able to get 1 kill and then, kind of subsequently go from there. Misfortune is definitely more of a one and done. And I feel like with how much CC you have, you definitely want a more active team fighting AD carry. So that to me is going to be the struggle for Foxtrot in the late game.
Have to see how they do in the early game first, as game number 3 is ready. Late game, sure to follow, but we have to start off at the start, of course, as game 3 is ready, loading onto the Rift. Foxtrot, if they win this, they are through to the quarterfinals. Lose, and they have a couple more games to get it done. DC, though, lose and they are gone. No double elimination, as we said earlier. It is one and done in ADL Diamond. Round of 16 is a long wait from the finals, and both these teams are going to have an uphill battle no matter what. But DC certainly have a lot more uphill to go, down 2-0. Yeah,
they certainly do. Death Cards in a very, very difficult situation now. We think about reverse sweeps. We think about how fun they are to watch, how fun they are to witness. But part of the reason why reverse sweeps are so revered in the community is because of their rarity. They very seldomly happen in any league, right? Not just the big ones, but things like ADL, things like AEL, even if you want to go down a little bit
over here. Nice Q1. Going to force the flash out of Phoenix Flare as he is forced to run away. from that Aatrox. Got a little bit scared off as Tengo will look to stop the back of Panda Boy. He's taking a nasty trade to start game number 3 off. He wants to take a base, but he has to run so far away. He's going to be very late to this first wave, especially with it being the mid wave. He actually can't base at all. He's just going to burn those pots instead. Nice start for Tengo, but it comes at the cost of his jungler losing flash.
So Phoenix Flare going to be a little bit less efficient in the first 5 minutes of this game. It's not the worst thing in the world. I feel like we talked about bot lane for Foxtrot in game number 1, or game number 2 rather, with the Jinx, and we said you have to be very proactive early on. The case of Misfortune, I don't necessarily think you have to be as, pedal to the metal in the early game. You just have to make sure that Blush can hit level 6, and from there should be able to get the full cast off. And at the end of the day, just not fall behind, right? It's not necessarily about getting ahead. So I think Phoenix Flare doesn't necessarily derive a bunch of value from or doesn't necessarily lose a ton of value by not having that flash, so long as he doesn't find himself in a difficult situation such as invading the enemy jungle without his team nearby.
Situations where Panda Boy forced a flash out of mid. Those rocks from Tengo are disgusting in their efficiency and their effectiveness. Topside going very much the way of the Aatrox, as you would expect early on. Actually, grasp Aatrox. Maybe not as you'd expect. Not used to seeing grasp on Aatrox, but that is the early TP now coming through from Panda Boy. And that's a TP in front of Atelier. You have to be careful. If they have EW ready, you can just get flipped and lose a ton of HP after you TP. Doesn't happen this time round, as Tengo is out of mana on the mid wave. He'll look to take a reset himself, but much happier position to do so. He has enough money for a tier, whereas the Ahri only a glowing moat worth 5 ability haste compared to an absolute ton of mana on the other side of things.
So now Panda Boy has to be really careful. Likely once Tengo gets back to the lane, is going to be able to shove out, get some priority, and this will definitely benefit Phoenix Flare, who wants to try and secure that crab. The bot lane is fighting at the current moment, but I do think that Foxtrot's bot lane should get enough priority to where Phoenix Flare can at the very least move around that bot part of the map. Looks like the timing might be a little bit off, so Tip is probably going to be able to get that crab. There's a good start for the Viego, not really being able to run interference for the side of Foxtrot, and just allowing Tip to have a calm early game, something that he really hasn't had all series long, if we're being honest, Ro.
This is another chill game. Game 2 was a bit more chill in the early game as well, but game 1 really does spring to mind when you're talking about suffering in the early game, because that was, by every single definition, a very suffering early game. That's a nice angle found. The flash spectrum more as well. Gonna force the flash out of Tengo, but it's too little too late. The double shove does nothing. Panda Boy out of mana, but they get the kill on midwave, and they look to go for even more because they know that death is here. He's roamed up from the bot lane. There is no one else near for the side apart from these two, but maybe they're enough. Perfect tempo will not be able to help his jungler out. His jungle for jungle as death will force the cleanse out of Blush. The Ziggs is on the bot wave, has TP. The charm just goes wide from Panda Boy. That is key, but perfect tempo might still fall. The blast cone does nothing to keep him safe. So it's a 3-for-1 overall. They find as death wants to go even deeper. Blush, he has no cleanse anymore. He still has splash, but the Zenith Blade will root him to the ground. The Talia is back. She walked back from spawn to be here. Death is incredible. Q2 lands perfectly, but Blush flashes away from the Q3. The Aatrox will still get him with the chains. Auto is enough from Cuba, as Tengo will fall again to the Ahri. This fight is going on for years. It's a 5-for-2.
Oh, but they're not done yet.
Not done yet, indeed. I needed time to breathe, as it will be the heroic charge into the wall. The stun from Phoenix Flare will get Huber out of here. The bot lane is just wondering what the hell is going on, guys. Why are we fighting over nothing? It's a 5-for-3 to start off game number 3.
And we just said it was a calmer early game. The caster curse of all caster curses, Rue. Holy moly. 8 kills in 5 minutes. You blink and suddenly the map has a lot more blood on it. But the big breadwinner of that exchange definitely going to be Panda Boy. 3-0-1 now on the Ahri. Tengo as well, dying not once, but twice in that extended exchange, and significantly further behind in the 1v1.
He just walked back from spawn and died a second time.
Yeah.
That's an absolutely crazy first fight that we get to see, as it's going to be Hubert 1v2 on the top side. No Qs either. Will dash away from the Bramble Smashes. Perfect Tempo does drop a good chunk of HP. He has Hex Splash. Surprised to see this game, Phoenix Flare didn't have that earlier on, as Rover ticks over to level 6, having that start on the top side, getting that solo XP. Will get there before the Ziggs. Drake being contested right now between these two sides, as looks like the Viego will be first to start it up. Tip gonna be taking that Infernal Drake off the map for us. His support has just based to go towards this top side, help out the top laner, because right now Hubert is struggling. He's still only level 5. Remember the Scion ticked over a couple waves ago. They get the Drake, and even after that wave, Hubert, he spent so long helping in whatever the hell that fight towards the top side of the jungle was, that he is down quite a bit in XP and honestly in CS as well to Rover. And now Humongous Frog has to be careful. Doesn't quite get hit by the slow, but will definitely be caught onto by the decimating smash. The heroic charge pulls him away from his satchel. He might get the kill on Rover as we head back over to top side, because Perfect Tempo has fallen. They do not get the kill with the rocket, with the comet, sorry, onto Rover. He will survive with a slither, the grasp, keeping him alive. It's a 1v2 kill for them in the bot lane, but it's the top lane getting it done.
Yeah.
The third kill going over to the Poppy is very interesting to start this game. Not quite up to Sunder Sky, but very, very close for them. But top lane is really where the struggle is occurring, because that is 2 plates that are going to be going over to Aatrox.
Yeah, so it's going to be Hubert getting a little bit of resources here on the top side. Now, we see a lot of members from Foxtrot deploying toward this upper part of the map. They want to contest these grubs coming up in about 15 seconds.
That's Heartbreaker.
Yep,
he wants to make it happen. He's just at level 6. He wants to invade on his power spike. And look at the restraint shown by Phoenix Flare. He knows that this Viego is strong right now. Even if he's strong himself, even if he's 500 gold away in terms of items spent from a Sundered Sky, he just cannot do it. He just cannot fight right now into a level 6 Viego. He has to take the passive route, has to give over his blue buff, which is something he definitely did not want to do. And he also gives over prio on these grubs. His bot lane is pushing heavily in the top side, as Blush, combined with Perfect Tempo, will push Hubert back as far as possible. But the Leona Viego combo, level 3 Leona, going to be enough to start these grubs off. And they just don't need the Ziggs at all right now. He's happy to take a farming lane into the Scion.
Yeah, absolutely is. As now DC are kind of pinching Foxtrot.
Massive. Lush is caught out. No cleanse used just yet. He has it, but he didn't get to use it at all. Just got obliterated. And now Tip has a reset. The bullet rain from the sky will get the slow, but nothing extra on this play. They already got 1 grub. And now Tip looks to go even deeper. There is no grub from to Heartbreaker on 2, so he's just going to reset back to these grubs. But it's another kill going over to the side of DC.
And it most importantly is the grubs are going over to the Ziggs. That big siege threat that we talked about in a draft, Rue, just got a whole lot scarier, as did the rest of death cards. Now around a 1,500 gold lead. Tango.
Hello, Panda Boy, very, very low. Good to force the Spirit Rush there is Tango. Thought for a second that he had the Ari, but maybe not quite, as Rover is satchel charged under this turret. Takes a couple of turret shots, but you would not know if I didn't just tell you. Rover may have just dipped below half HP. I'm not quite sure. He's going to go for the unstoppable onslaught, but maybe it is stoppable if Death flashes in front of it. He's going to get caught up against the wall, but there's no more satchel. The satchel actually goes too deep to catch him while he's smashing decimatingly. I have no idea. Death, level 4 Leona is a sacrifice to the gods. Humongous Frog now caught out as well, because Tengo has roamed down here. He doesn't have a view his wall. He just walked his way down. It's double kill for Phoenix Flare, up to 5 kills now on the Poppy. He doesn't need to farm when he's getting all these kills across the map. He's had a Sunder Sky available for about a couple of minutes, but he hasn't needed it either. He's just got kills across the map, and it's working out great for him.
Yeah, 5-1 on the Poppy. And I feel a really, really, really over-aggressive play there from Death. He flashes in the way of the unstoppable charge, but your AD carry had just used his ultimate. That was his biggest weapon. That was the big red button that you push for damage. So if he didn't have enough damage for the ultimate, how is he going to have enough damage after that?
Right, it felt like a very half HP, if that. There's no chance.
Yeah, it felt like a very overzealous play from Death, and then Phoenix Flare is there to arrive for the counter punch. They get 2 kills, both of whom go over to Poppy, going to make Phoenix Flare a lot bigger of a threat from here on out. And it also kind of equalizes the gold difference between the junglers. You see a lot of CS being owned by Tip. He's about 30 above Fenix Flare, but Fenix Flare has 5 kills. So you're looking at 2 junglers that are relatively even in gold, despite getting them from vastly different sources here in game number 3. And it's all going to come to a head in about 25 seconds as this dragon spawns through.
Absolutely. The Triforce goes up against the Sundered Sky. The team fighting ability to sustain through everything is going to be massive for Phoenix Flare, but the Triforce on the other side of things also very strong for Tip, as he has managed to generate himself a massive camp lead, but you point out that alternate gold source, very, very potent for Phoenix Flare, and they look to engage on each other. It's going to be the Poppy stopping the engage coming through from Tip, though, as he can just deny everyone's charges at a moment's notice, and the CP is beautiful. Take the bullet time over as well, and Death is just a second one to follow. Blush goes low from the Ahri with the Orb of Deception, but it is a little bit too little too late, as their health bars are incredibly low, but they get the 2 kills, they get out of town, they deny the Drake for now. It looks like, though, Panda Boy wants to go deeper. He still has Spirit Rush, and they're still backing on Vision.
No.
That wasn't even on Vision. He just knew that he was going to be. That's absolutely disgusting. The blind charm through the wall. How has he got that? He will be punished for his greed, for his arrogance. That was absolutely filthy. How did he know?
I mean, he gets the kill, but I feel not worth it at the end of the day as Fenix Flare continues his tirade onto the Death Card members. 6-1 now on the Poppy. I think the best thing for Death Cards is that they do stop the pressure of Foxtrot on that bot side. The Dragon is ripe for DC's taking. But honestly, you lost so many resources. You gave so many resources over to both Blush and Fenix Flare, and now they're really strong on the map.
Rover has no mana to carry on this play, but guess who is here? It's Phoenix Flare, and unfortunately Hubert does not realize just who has turned up. The Spirit Shojin is not enough to deal with this Poppy right now. The heroic charge doesn't quite land into the wall, but there's another member up here as well, and unfortunately the World Ender healing is not quite enough when there's 3v1. Phoenix Flare very nearly fell during that play, but it's the misfortune that turns the tide, and Blush gets the kill, and now Tengo on the bot side has found a very rogue Viego, goes for the Heartbreaker but misses entirely. There are no more rocks on the floor, but there's rocks coming out from his hands, and it's going to be the flash away because he has the control of Vision onto Panda, who flashes over the box himself, gets the kill with the W. Wow, what a fight from both sides. They go 1 for 1 in the end, but it's flash for flash from mid. Panda Boy, though, picking up plates as well.
And Panda Boy's got to run, though. Rover is here. Doesn't have the ult.
He has no unstoppable onslaught. Panda Boy should be able to escape this one. From the decimating smash. He will get Charm up in a couple of seconds. That should be enough time to just delay, get him out to safety. What is happening? I'm out of breath.
It's a response from Rover. It's not a good one, but it's a response, definitely, as Foxtrot managing to equalize the kill count in their favor now, actually, for close to the first time this game. Again, Death Cards really swinging the game in their favor due to that earlier topside play in the jungle. I feel like Foxtrot have very slowly, very incrementally been able to build a gold lead to counter that and to match DC.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to see if it's
disgusting about skirmishing too, right? It's not like it's just like one fight went bad, we're like, not fight again. No. We know what we have to do in this team comp. We have to keep on fighting like our lives depend on it, because the other team, they know if they lose, they are out of ADL. Any chance of winning prize money is completely gone. Any thoughts of playing next week out of the window. They have to win this game right now. Whereas Foxtrot, some teams might take this a little bit more relaxed, right? We're already up 2-0. It's not been that difficult. Game 1 was close, but Game 2 was an absolute breeze. We can do this easily, but no. They are on top of things. They keep on fighting, and right now, it's paying dividends.
Absolutely, and I feel like the big one for Death Cards to play around has to be Panda Boy. 5-1 and 2 on the Ahri, but I feel like this comp from Foxtrot is just tailor-made to deal with a champion like Ahri. You have so many dashes, but there's a Talia, there's a Poppy, and a Maokai on the other side that are there to root you up and stop your advance. So Death Cards have to be very careful with how they play around their mid laner, because one fall, one
I have with this comp, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're looking at this and you're thinking, right, Talia was taken first pick. Poppy was taken second pick on blue side. And into that, we're drafting... Every single champ that we have drafted has a dash of some sorts. They're not all working the same way, right? Zig's satchel charge, maybe you could argue, is not quite the same as some of the other dashes, but every single person has a dash. And you're playing against two champs that love people who have dashes. Like, DC... In their drafts, this whole series, they've had a bit of a tough time working out what really works for them and what's going to work against them. Right now, they've had a great time fighting in these early games, but as the game progresses, especially with how strong this Poppy is, every time she goes steadfast, you just can't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really puts a lot of importance onto Fennec's Flare. The worst part is he is the most fed member on the side of Foxtrot. He's 6-1. Is getting closer and closer to that second item, and I don't really think DC have a easy patch, an easy fix for it as Rover.
They're going to look for it, the unstoppable onslaught, just to get the knock up onto Tip. He is charmed away, is Rover. He goes down to about 1,000 HP, and congratulations, you're engaging on a Scion. You got him below a third, congrats. Now he exists under the turret. Let's see what they want to go. Do they want to go deeper? He has no ult, he's kind of low on mana, but not really low enough. The Orb of Deception doesn't quite connect, there's no more wave, and there's just not a play on that side lane.
Yeah, they have no real way of diving him, especially when he has flash, and he wants to keep that flash because there's a dragon coming up in a little less than a minute. Tango, though, potentially going to get engaged onto, but beautiful seismic shove just says, get away from me, Hubert. This Talia...
damage as well, it just keeps on coming. The rocks keep on flying. The Seraph spike is massive. You'd have thought the Spirit Shoujo would have more abilities to use, but honestly, Hubert, they didn't even get a chance to press Q beyond that initial one. He missed the first knockup, and then he was just caught out of range. The shove kept him perfectly away, and he kept following up, peppering in rocks after rocks. And unfortunately, Hubert takes the worst of that trade. They're going to lose another wave in top, and they can't TP up to save it either. They have to keep that TP while walking to the top lane because of this Drake spawning. A difference from the first couple of games. DC actually have a couple of Drakes to their name. They have the grubs. They have been playing very well around these objectives, but they did give over that Rift Herald. I would not be shocked if we saw it drop very, very soon. I believe Phoenix Flare is hiding in this bush, waiting to throw it down in the mid lane, maybe looking to just throw a buckler in Death's face as he turns it around. He wants to go forward, but there's so many rocks on the ground, you cannot dash through any of them. The bullet time is beautiful to get onto the Leona at least. Why are we trying to play a dash comp into Talia?
It's so damn difficult to advance in these fights as now Panda has to run. The dragon is ripe for the taking. Based off of the way this game is treading, the fact that Death is down for another couple of seconds, the fact that Humunga Frog is at less than half HP, as well as Panda Boy at around that 50% HP mark. They're going to have to concede this Drake. So first one for Foxtrot, but DC want to claw back for some reason.
Trying to fight this. You guys are without your Leona. This is a very dangerous fight. The unstoppable onslaught from Rover will punish the Aatrox being completely out of position. That is a level 13 Scion pre-20 minutes. He is way stronger than you think he is. He is the highest level in the game on a Scion right now. He's had so much time farming in a solo lane that he is just unstoppable. No pun intended when he goes onslaught. And now, what can you do against him? Your things to chunk him out don't really exist right now. Your Viego might get there later, might not, honestly. Zig's building towards the Leandries, but he's quite a ways away. Your Ari not itemizing at all for chunking through a Scion. And it's a similar problem to what we thought we had in game number 1. With the Xante piloted by Hubert. That game, though, Foxtrot found a way. I wonder if DC can do the same.
In this game, too, I feel like I was going to say it has similar shades to game number 2 for the side of DC, right? Because you do have fed members, such as the Ari. The Viego is still very much in this game, as is the Aatrox. But the front line of Foxtrot, you just have no real answer into it, right? You don't have champions that are your perennial tank killers. Aatrox isn't the best into tanks. Ari isn't the best into tanks. The best thing you have into tanks is Viego with his Execute, and he has not been able to achieve that whatsoever in game number 3.
Yeah, you think of Aatrox, he's typically great in the lane, but come late game, it gets a little bit harder as Blush wants to make a play on mid wave. Humunga Frog has to be careful. Nice shot from Tango. Going to put Panda Boy down to about a quarter of his normal
Tango,
HP.
Please, sir.
he is just demolishing. He has just a Seraphs to his name in terms of completed items, but he is still putting out a disgusting amount of damage right now. As we look across the bottom of our screens, it's 2 item spikes starting to appear for both of our teams. Deadman's Plate with the Sundered Sky means a very strong, very tanky Poppy. We're not quite there yet for the Viego. Looks like he's going Collector next. Aatrox also not quite there at his second item spike. Looks like he's going Cleaver. Ari is there, but the items really don't quite have the same power to them. And if we also look along the sides of our screens, we get to see the level discrepancy that started to appear. It feels like a lot of this game during the topside plays, it was Ben playing with Death, not getting as much solo XP. Looking over to Rover, he's level 14 at minute 21. He is incredibly strong right now as hello mid lane. Blush has to flash and cleanse away from Death. The Nature's Grasp will connect onto Death, and that is a very dead looking Leona, as the Weaver's Wall also is going to come in just to confirm things. Aatrox alone in this bot wave will finally have a little bit of time to farm up himself. But even into this matchup, you think Aatrox into tanks is great, but he doesn't have it right now. Blush, though, definitely does not have that. You just use both your summoners. Now you're walking forward against an Ari, dashing over the wall. The shove is nice, but there's no Unraveled Earth behind it, and Tip is there. He gets yeeted out of existence, though. He gets sent to the other side of the rift. He's going to try and make his way back in. Pandaboy has to flash the Unstoppable Onslaught. Nice charm over the wall to get Rover stuck. He goes low, but he's not going to fall just yet. Tip has no more Heartbreakers until he finds a kill, but maybe it's going to happen courtesy of Hubert, because he wants to send it deep instead. The Decimating Smash is nice. The Phone Shift pulled Perfect Temper back. He has no escape route, and he will mean another soul for this Viego. They can look to transition this up to Atacama, but there's nothing else on the board.
I mean, the Otacon window is there, but it is extremely slim. Blush is now back onto the map, and they're just meandering around. DC want to make sure that Hubert is alive and safe and ready to go. And now Tango is also reset on the map. He has TP, so even if you started this Otacon, the Taliyah would be right there to respond. It's a few quick kills over to the death cards, but nothing in return off of it.
Absolutely. Turn our attention to these objectives that we have spawning a minute or so until we get another Ocean Drake. It's not close to a soul just yet. DC would make it soul point if they get it. The Atacon was not chosen by DC that time around. They did better of it. I think maybe it's a little bit too much just yet. We'll have a look around the rest of the rift, see what we can make after that nice play. They get the extended fight is where they really start to win through. The instant fights really don't favor them, right? Because all of your dashes, if you're getting killed instantly, or if you're looking for kills instantly, they can be mitigated very easily by the Poppy, by the Taliyah. When the fights go long, when those finally start having cooldowns that get expired, is where you can really start to thrive with things like the Spirit Rush, getting 1,000 dashes through these fights. That's what they need to really, extend these fights. Otherwise, they're gonna have a really tough time. Let's see if they can do that when they fight around this next break.
And Nitrate coming up in about 20 seconds. You can see that Rover is looking for the 1v1 against Hubert. But right now, bot river control owned by the death cards. Tip trying to make the most of it by looking for some kind of a pick. I feel like before Foxtrot can enter this bot side, they need Phoenix Flare with them. This Poppy is so critical to being able to walk into uncharted territory, but at the moment he's not even crossing through mid. They might just be content giving over this dragon, but they've got to act now if they want to contest it.
Rover's going to do exactly that from the extra ocean bush that has spawned in the river. They're going to try and make the play onto the Drake. The Viego does smite it away still, but Tip flashing Heartbreakering over the wall. It's going to be Hubert left alone at the back of the site. There's Death sends it deeper in. Pandaboy has 2 more dashes left. He's going to go deeper. Still has to run away though, because he cannot make that happen. He does get the Orb of Deception to kill on the Taliyah. The stopwatch not going to do anything there, but it's still a 3-4-1 as the resets are going to come through from both sides. The Ari backing in enemy lines does not want to get caught out, will escape just before the sapling lands from Perfect Tempo. It's a losing play in terms of kills, but it's a winning play in terms of the objective.
I mean, death cards now on soul point. I think Foxtrot just a little too late to respond, not crossing over that mid wave when they had every right to be able to do so. So they will manage to get that mid lane tier 1 at the very least. I think Rover is being currently gate kept by Hubert on getting this bot lane tier 1, but still An objective is an objective, and Foxtrot are more than happy to take that away.
Forever though, because it looks like these extended trades are really favoring the Scion. It will be Hubert just clearing out the wave, but he's going to have to take a base soon because he is getting absolutely chunked just by existing near this guy. The extra HP that he has been gaining from his passive have made his Sunfire Aegis incredibly strong. And bear in mind that Unending Despair also gets scaling on your damage and healing based off of your health. This Scion is so difficult to take down in a 1v1 right now, and sure, he's low on mana, but he's able to push out one extra wave, and sometimes that's all that matters in this type of a fight because he does end up getting that tower.
Yeah, he will. So it's 2 towers claimed by Foxtrot. Now all of the outers are destroyed on the side of Death Cards. Death Cards still have a little bit more to do before they can say the same. That mid and bot lane still standing. But I do wonder what Foxtrot can do now with that extended vision line, particularly on champions like Maokai. It's really nice to be able to throw those saplings, get some vision into places, into pockets that you previously weren't able to do so. It's especially going to play dividends around this Otacon still standing unscathed on the top side. I think it's going to be up to Foxtrot to look for a pick and then turn that pick into an objective. Just classic League of Legends, but it is so effective when you're in a bind like we are right now.
I'm just looking at this, what's happening in the bot side between these top laners, and I can't work out if anything's happening or if something's happening. It feels like a lot of buttons are being pressed, but honestly, like nothing is actually occurring in front of our eyes. Neither of these guys take damage in these fights. Neither of them do much either, at least to each other. When it comes to the full team fights, maybe we'll get to see something, but until then, it's just the trading of grass stacks under the guys are pushing waves and catching waves. They are fighting on at least the blue side of the rift right now. It is the DC top laner Hubert getting a little bit of prio on that wave, but it's not going to be enough to take that turret. And you pointed out earlier, mid tier 1 and bot tier 1 still alive, and that's against the Ziggs. Like, that's really surprising this late into the game, 27.5 minutes, and Ziggs still hasn't been able to execute a single turret.
I mean, Ziggs has not really been able to walk up in this game, if we're being honest with you. I mean, every time Humongous Frog he's gotten taken down, right? Because of the lockdown that Foxtrot have. So it's really difficult for him. But I still think you have the opportunity to leverage that range. You're getting in closer and closer to that third item, as Ziggs is now something might be happening on the top side. Rover.
I'm still not convinced. You're going to have to see them get down incredibly low for me to be convinced that anything is actually happening, because the Unending Despair is just going to keep on ticking. Q3 will connect. The Infernal Chains do not pull him back, and the Decimating Smash will do a little bit of damage back to Hubert. It is just completely meaningless at this point. The Black Cleaver, you'd expect to do something.
And,
the is maybe more interesting. Nice use of the Spirit Rush there from Panda Boy to get out of dodge. Will use all three, though, to try and do exactly that. Hides behind his Leona to escape the Nature's Grasp, but it will not matter in the end, as that is death caught out, as well as Padboy, who now has no flash. We transition back down to bot lane, where the top laners are still doing their dance. They're collecting so many grasp stacks, but literally nothing else is happening. What's much more interesting is the objective being taken on the top side, as Hubert will get the Demolish Pop. He might get the turret here, but Atakan is being taken while this is happening, and Humongous Frog is incredibly low, courtesy of Tengo. They do indeed get the turret, but look how much it costs. Oh wait, he has World Ender. It doesn't matter. That is a Siren who just used ultimate, by the way. Rover, no more ultimate in his inventory available. Will have to flash away from the Q2. The flash Q3 will though get the kill. They finally did it. It only took 2 minutes of fighting, but the Aatrox finally kills the Scion in a flash-for-flash trade. Congratulations. While that's happening, your team lost Atakan.
But that is the worst possible time for Scion to go down. That dragon is up. The soul for Death Cards is on the table. Phoenix Flare has to go for a steal. He has to go for a steal, but if he goes for a steal, it is a one-way trip, and the Baron is up. It's a lose-lose situation.
Nice shove. It's huge from Tengo. He pulls them into the rocks. They're trying to get out it. The Drake is still at 5.5k. Mid lane is traded out. The resets are massive, but he dashes onto the rocks. Panda Boy, 3 more dashes left. He works forward. A triple kill already for Tango, and now the hero charge making a quadra. It's Humongous Frog left alone. 1v2, but the Poppy still survives. They will have the smite to take down the Drake, as much as the Ziggs tries to snipe it away. And now they can look for the pentakill if they do so, please, as Tengo flashes over the Q from from Humongo Frog. Gets smacked in the face by a Rox. That is a pentakill. Tengo collects all 5, hiding in the back of the pit like a phoenix from the fire, just rising up with his jungler. And now Rover is back to push out more waves.
They're going to take this mid lane turret as well. A little bit of a cherry on top for Foxtrot Jungle Kits. They're 2-0 up in this series. One more win, and they can call themselves attendees at the quarterfinals. And Tango on this Taliyah. It was a rough early game, given that Panda Boy got 3 kills off that early top exchange. But ever since then, he has looked like the guy that ran over games 1 and 2. He is doing the same in game number 3. And Foxtrot, one more fight should do the trick. The Baron is calling their name. The Baron could call them to a top 8, at least here in the ADL.
Absolutely could, and it's not just him alone. It has been mid-jungle throughout this series. Phoenix Flare this game 9-1-9 on the Poppy. Just completed himself a Force of Nature as he looks to itemize towards Thornmail as well. Maybe caught out a little bit too far, but the beautiful use of the Taliyah wall. Gonna throw Tip away, gonna keep his Poppy safe. They're gonna look for the re-engage. Tango has been caught, shut down over to Viego, of all people, is huge. And now they have a Taliyah on their side of the rift as well.
Down.
And Tip looks to push from this. There is no more Keeper's Verdict either. Poppy used ult in that exchange, so it's so difficult to remove them from the Baron pit. It's another 4v5, but this time it's without the Pentakill King. Instead, it's going to be the
bullet time.
Bullet time is perfect. They find Humongo Frog caught up against the wall. Tip as well, insanely low HP. He will escape, but it comes at the cost of his Leona, who is sure to follow. Aatrox into the grave. Misfortune picks up 2 as Phoenix Flare looks to finish off. There you go. Finally, the Leona will fall. And now Baron in another 4v5 around an objective is theirs.
And no Taliyah, no problem. Phoenix Flare and Blush make the difference in damage. And they absolutely wipe the floor with the death cards. Phoenix Flare is zoning off Tip, making sure that this Viego can't look for a steal. But Viego is on the complete opposite side of the map, just looking for some play on to Tango. Here they go.
He doesn't have a dash over the wall. He doesn't have Heartbreaker just yet. They might have enough damage by themselves, as it will be Tango going incredibly low. The stopwatch will prolong his existence, but do nothing else. He means that, actually no, Zhonya's is up for Tip if he wants to go golden in his Taliyah form. Level 15, he has Heartbreaker to get over the wall, get out of dodge. Will be able to try to escape at least, as it's going to be the Zig sending in a massive explosion. Just, you know, a bit of a firework to send off that fight. It is another kill going over to Tip, who, by the way, in that previous fight was the person who killed Tango. That was a 1,000 gold shutdown over to Viego. He now gets another 400 as well from killing him again. If anyone was to get this money and make use of it, it is a Viego in this situation. Let's now see what Tip can do.
It really is all on him. It's all on those resets. You just have to start with 1 kill for this death cards comp to really come online.
Let's see if 1 kill presents itself. They're hiding in the bush. It's the Fnatic strat. They may have found Phoenix Flare. They're collapsing from both sides. The Spectral Maul goes just wide, but the Heroic Charge lands on the red buff instead of on any champions. The Keeper's Verdict will keep him safe, though, and now Nature's Grasp is coming in. There's only 2 members here. Humongo Frog will try and find his way to a Blast Cone. He doesn't even get to escape because he's been taken from him by Perfect Tempo. The Bramble Smash will keep him slow. Aatrox fell on the other side of the map as the flash forward from Perfect Tempo to avoid that satchel is perfect. A double kill for Misfortune to start this fight off, and Panda Boy is out of charges. He still has his flash, but it's promptly used in an escape plan that is sure to fail. The Poppy puts himself up to 10, 1, and 13 as Blush gets a triple kill. It's now not just 1 threat, it's not just 2, it's 3, but it's not the 3 that we expected. The Poppy is showing up as the biggest of all of them.
It absolutely is. The wave is coming through. Baron empowered minions should assist Foxtrot in sieging this bot lane turret. We've got around 10 seconds left on most of the death timers from death cards, so I'm not sure if Foxtrot want to keep trying their luck. It looks like they will. They have a pretty substantial wave here on this side of the map, so they're just going to look to break open the base, not greeting for much more, and immediately pivoting on to that dragon. The tip is on the mid lane, so maybe trying to steal is this Viego, but I mean, it's so hard to picture a world where that's even possible at this point.
Yeah, he's on vision, clearing out that wave, so it's going to be a little bit of time before he gets down there. The snipe maybe could have been possible from the Ziggs. Frog did try it, but it was just a tad early. No vision, so it's a bit of, you know, game of potluck. Very close to getting it correct, but not quite there this time. Baron is about to fall off in about 10 seconds or so, but Foxtrot did what they came for. They got themselves a massive outer turret claimed, a ton of gold going the way. They break the base. They don't take the inhib, which I'm a bit surprised at. I think you probably, at that point, could take it while still transitioning down to that Drake in time, but choosing not to. They don't have that prio left over, but they do have a ton of gold that they have just been able to back and spend. We look at the items right now, and it is Blush, 4 items. It is Tengo, 4 items. It's Phoenix Flare at 4 items. It's a Rover at 4 items. The only person who's not keeping up is the Maokai. And honestly, I can understand that, right? You're not meant to keep up on Maokai in terms of items. As he is using his spellbook to great effect, he's going to look to TP back to this mid wave. What do you do right now? As DC, you find yourself in another hole. It's 7k down. It's been 3 Drakes out of the previous 4.
Here we go.
You look for plays on the sideline apparently, but unfortunately the charm from Panda Boy only hits on the minion. Their CC is not there. They're TPing in to try and make this play work, but Rover has barely even got down to half HP. The Unstoppable Onslaught forces Tip to flash Heartbreaker away. He gets caught by the Mitch Scotsman topside. He is out of this play for now. He's not going to get any resets unless he can get damage, but he can't get damage because he doesn't have any health. It's going to be Hubert running away as well. The Nice and Phone Chains will keep everyone else at bay as the charm does connect on Rover. He goes incredibly low, but his shield is 1000 HP, and Death is caught on the top side. The first kill will go over to Tengo in this fight, and everyone else on DC is so low that they just cannot carry on this fight. The siege without Baron is going to be successful for Foxtrot.
Foxtrot, though, might struggle to actually get these minions to hit the tower. I mean, you've got the Ziggs, you've got the Ahri. There's a lot of wave clear on the side of DC. It's now Phoenix Flare.
What are we doing here, buddy? Why are we walking up like that? That's 1,000 gold shutdown over to the Ahri. Panda Boy, though, will be punished. He gets deleted by Misfortune. Blush just eviscerates him off the map. Tengo did flash to make that play happen, but that's 1,000 gold into the Ahri's pocket. That only matters if the Ahri is alive, and unfortunately for them, they are dead for the next 50 seconds or so, as it is down to the rest of their members to try and hold on, but you can't hold on when your top laner runs into 3 like that. Caught by the shove. The damage is there from Blush. The wave is cleared by the rocket launch thing. I forget the name of Zigzalt. The wave is gone. That's important. But what's also important is what's happening elsewhere, and Tip is not strong enough. He has to heartbreak himself away from a seismic shove, and now he is without that key ultimate for when Baron spawns.
Yep, Baron coming up in about 30 seconds. Phoenix Flare will be up and ready to go by that time. Foxtrot really just need to try and get a wave that crashes under the turrets. That feels like that has been their biggest struggle, their biggest vice so far in the game. Because the wave clear from death cards is so efficient, it's hard to get those to crash. But Baron can easily fix that problem. You empower those minions, give them some beefed up stats, and I feel like that can certainly be a remedy for your headaches as the Foxtrot jungle kits. It has spawned. You can see that Death is trying to get some vision down, but honestly, I feel like he can't really get anything down that can't immediately be undone by Perfect Tempo in particular. These saplings literally act as wards with knives.
And he is a level 16 Maokai. I just let it in closer to make sure. That's a level 16 Maokai playing against a level 12 Leona. Not that the support level matters all too much, but when the rest of your team is still keeping up in XP, it certainly can't hurt. And Tip is caught out. I didn't even realize he's just way too far up. The rest of his team is back at where the old tier 2 was. He is up in the river, and unfortunately, you cannot be there at this point in the game. And now his team has to fight 4v5 for the next 50 seconds. They will lose the Baron. They may lose Soul as well. It's gets a 4 Infernal Drake Soul. Unless, oh, that was way too close. Humongo Frog, very close to sniping with the Ziggs ultimate, but it doesn't quite connect this time around. It got it down to about 200 HP. A couple of, a tenth of a second later, maybe he has it. They do get the cross map at least. Ari takes down another turret. They get even more money into her pockets. But right now it is Panda Boy who's left to try and take on everyone in this 45. He doesn't have many teammates to help him. The Leona really does not exist right now. Death really living up to that moniker. 1 and 10 with 8 assists. The mid tier 3 will fall. Panda Boy missing charm this time around. The Decimated Smash from Rover will not connect. Neither will the Orb of Deception, and Blush will just heal away whatever damage he took with that Bloodthirster.
Now they're going to have to peel back toward the dragon, spawning in about 5 seconds. Tip is back on the map.
Charm connects onto Rover. They're looking to engage first target, and they might even have the damage now as well. Then is used. That's a very deep tip. He is going deep indeed. He has to flash and Spectrum Wall the hell out of there. Leona also falling on the other side of the fight is gonna be the Ziggs caught out in the middle of nowhere. Humongo Frog will fall to Rover in the 1v1. The bot laner's nightmare is finding a top laner in a 1v1, and now unfortunately it is just Tip and Hubert 2v5 to save the series, and they are looking for a Hail Mary. I'm not sure about this one, guys. I know you have a bot wave, but your base is dying. That is a Baron with Baron empowered minions pushing on your Nexus, and you TP down the bot to try and base race. This was doomed to fail from the start, as it is a 3-0. Foxtrot take it cleanly and move forward to the quarterfinals.
And Foxtrot continue their undefeated run outside of those first 2 weeks. These guys have yet to drop a series. And now they join us, Rue, in the top 8. They will be present next week. They will have a future in the ADL, but unfortunately, with every victor comes a loser. And unfortunately, Death Cards were not able to be victorious today. They will go down 0-3. Valiant effort, but really, Phoenix, Flare, and Tango, man, just constantly popping off in this series. I can't say enough good things about this mid-jungle here of the Foxtrot jungle kits.
Yeah, absolutely. They were the key components to them winning this one, as it is just a clean 3-0 to get it done. Get us out of here early. We started an hour early in case it went the full 5, but we're going to be done an hour before we normally are, which is absolutely insane. Yeah, just utter domination. Game 1, it was objectives, right? We pointed out when it's happening, but it was every single objective, without doubt, going the way of Foxtrot. The gold was close, the fights were close, but the objectives, when it mattered, went their way every single time. Game 2, the fighting was a little bit closer, but the objectives remained the same. And then they just built a lead off of that to a much higher extent than we saw in game number 1. Game 3, we just saw, again, they were happy to give up the early objectives because they knew they had faith in their comp. They had faith in their draft to scale into the late game. They get themselves a 4 Ocean Drake Soul in the end. Barons, Barons everywhere. Barons all over the place. Gold everywhere. On every one. Even when they lost some shutdowns, it didn't matter in the end because they just felt that they were better. They played the fights like they were better, and honestly, they were just better.
They certainly were better on the day. When you go into tournaments like this that don't have a double elimination bracket, it doesn't matter if you're the better team. If you don't show up on the day, if you aren't the better team on the day, you lose. And unfortunately, there's no safety net for you. There's no one to catch you. There's no guardian angel. There is no second chance. So this is a reminder to all of the teams, you got to show up. This is the moment where you have to put everything on the line. And the Foxtrot jungle kits did just that. Honestly, Rue, before we end out here, who would you give the MVP to of this series? My vote is personally Tango. I feel in all 3 games this man performed. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful mid performance in all 3 games. Despite being behind, particularly in game number 3, he still managed to be the difference on that Talia. So massive props to him. Massive props to Foxtrot jungle kits. A warm send-off to the Death Cards as well. Thank you for being in the ADL. And thank you for tuning in to this best of 5 round of 16 on the ADL. I have been Quacks. That has been Rue. Thank you, Ice Fire Ride, on production, and we will see you guys all next week. Take care.
To redemption on the other